Drive Down, and they claim it's an all-new way to buy and sell cars. We ask questions. Jeff has a segment on high-temperature cars inside. Conrad has the racing calendar and the car clinic, and later we discuss the stories making auto news headlines this week. We're sitting in the backyard watching Mars, enjoying a Bud Light. Drink some free buds and talk about each other. Invite you to join us on this 4th of July weekend blow-up of the In-Wheel Time Car Talk Show. Howdy, along with Mike Out of This World Mars down there on his computer. We need more Jeff Zekin. King Conrad DeLong, and I'm Don Armstrong. It's good to have you with us. Yeah, I thought, well,
a little curveball.
It's good to be here.
Yeah. Steer it up,
there you
as
go.
Johnny Nash used to say. Steer it up. So it's all good. Are we ready, Mr. Mars? Not yet. No, we're not ready.
Couple of minor little faux pas.
Yeah, he's been working on. We had a computer that crashed this morning, and so for our guest that is standing by, just keep standing by or sit by.
Well, he's sitting there with his hands crossed, so it looks like he's praying.
He's praying as well. There you go.
He can clearly hear us because he just laughed.
Yeah, well, that's good. I don't know why we can't hear him, but
oh, you can't?
Well, I haven't turned him on yet.
Well, pot him up. Let's see.
Okay. Yeah, so let's talk to our guest right now. And did I write his name down? I don't know as if I did. It's Mitch. It's Mitch Sure.
Yeah.
Mitch, can you hear us?
He can hear us.
He can hear us, but we can't hear him. Have you
So
unmuted yourself, Mitch? Check and see if you're unmuted.
He's not muted.
I think they haven't got all the
It's a system.
Oh, Mars doesn't
got
have
it.
all of his buttons pushed over here. So, Mitch, you just stand by, buddy. We'll be with you in just a minute, okay? Nod yes. Perfect. Thank you.
Not yes. Blink 3 times if you're in distress.
We're gonna
Knock 3 times on the ceiling if you love
There
me.
you go.
we're gonna do the interview via Morse code.
We are.
Go.
So I'll just give you a little preview. Drive Down, a curated online automotive marketplace revolutionizing the enthusiast car buying experience with its unique top-down pricing approach. Cleveland-based company founded by 2 car fanatics aims to disrupt the traditional car buying and selling process, providing a seamless and transparent experience for both buyers and sellers.
Another disruptor.
A disruptor, kind of like us.
Well, the that's always good because it brings a new point of view to whatever business they're in that they're trying to disrupt.
Well, it shakes up the market, too.
Yeah. Well, that's good. We have tons of car news, and matter of fact, I got a whole section just for Buzz Smith, who's going to join us later today.
Oh, good.
About electrics. And as a matter of fact, this week I just got delivery on Thursday of the Kia EV6.
It's a good-looking car from behind at night because it's got that wraparound rear taillight assembly. The thing I looked at when you were backing up the driveway, it's got that one white backup light on the bottom. That's just, I don't know. It just
Not
ruins
bright
it.
enough?
No, it's too bright. It just doesn't fit. It's just like some bulb back there to me. Anyway.
Probably what it is. It's just a ball.
Well, no, it doesn't flow
What do you
with the
want, landing
design.
lights?
It doesn't flow with the design of the rear lights and
I
all
understand
that.
what you're saying.
It's
you
just
want
there.
You want one like the 19 Chevy Impala had the 2 white lights on either side of the license plate. Is that what
Yeah,
you're
something
looking
like there's
for?
something non-obtrusive because it looks. Nah, I don't know.
not in style with the rest of the car.
Exactly.
It only works when it goes in reverse.
And you know how stylish I am. So
Yeah, I
Yes,
know.
we
With
can tell by your shirt.
Yeah,
look
your
at
shirt
that.
you've got on today. He's got his 4th of July shirt on.
thank
It
you,
has
David Pitts. My son-in-law got me the shirt.
Fireworks,
Yeah.
hamburgers, hot
Yeah.
dogs, ketchup.
Well, ketchup
USA.
is from lunch.
USA.
That's it. And I'm wearing
Yankee Doodle.
And I'm wearing Mutz Cuts today.
Mutz Cuts. Yeah, it's a good one.
I figured, why not celebrate the dog?
The dog, the Suze.
Suze is over there.
She's not happy.
She's
'cause you're
laying
not
on the
letting her out.
concrete.
Well, here's the
Cooling off.
problem is because, the air conditioning systems of every place in the world are really straining to keep it cool. Now, we've had this thing running, for at least 14, 16 hours
Yeah, that's sometime
in
yesterday.
the studio here, and it's just barely acceptable. So in the 3 hours of this show that we've got coming up, I can only think that it's going to be really straining
No,
It's
just
11 o'clock.
limit your breathing.
Oh yeah, that makes sense. Don't breathe.
Consider yourself on a submarine. Limit your breathing, and we'll be okay.
We'll talk about submarines. You know, that thing that imploded at the Titanic.
I think somebody opened the screen
what a
door.
waste. What a waste.
Yeah. Well, I think that the guy was way over his head that designed that thing. There's no way that thing could have ever survived. It had been down there 30 times, and you know as well as I do, all of that, even though the metal is probably that thick.
Yeah, but each time it goes down and up, the metal compresses, expands.
Well, it's like an
compresses,
aircraft. It's like
expands,
an airplane. Same thing.
and eventually you get metal fatigue, and that very well may have been what caused its failure.
Yippers.
I'm sure that they'll try to find out exactly
Well,
what
they found
happened.
pieces of it. I think they brought pieces up from the
Oh,
bottom.
they did, including body parts, from what I understand. I didn't
Allegedly.
think that there was anything left of them.
Yeah, allegedly.
Yeah.
Ouch. What a shame.
What is that? You know, when Mars,
we're gonna get
when,
there?
when Mars has scored a victory, here's what Mars does.
What does he do?
I got him, I think.
Okay, well,
You
why
got
don't
him.
you
Let's bring him
put on your headset, real headset?
he's gone.
Now let's talk to
He
him.
went to the market. He's not there anymore.
Okay, Mitch, sure, can you hear us?
Yes.
Well, good,
Beautiful.
because I can't hear you.
All right.
I don't.
It's on the computer.
We're gonna
It's
go
on
back.
the computer. We just need
Put
to
your microphone on the computer then.
So at any rate, we can hear you. We just need to get it from Mars over here.
And then it goes to
So
our
if
ears.
you'll just give us a few seconds, we apologize. We go through this quite frequently on this program. This
No,
is
not lately.
well, it has been a while.
Creates feedback.
Do what?
He's putting his. Never mind.
Okay, well, you just keep doing what you're doing over
Well, I
there.
know, but you got to keep him potted up.
Well,
Yeah.
okay, he is. There you go. He's on. But at any rate, I just that whole thing has fascinated me because I've never heard of such a thing, an implosion of basically a submarine. And we were talking before we went on the air, the mechanical side of it and what happens with the pressures once you go below the surface, because right here, we're at about 15 psi as we live and breathe. But it doesn't take much to go down just a few feet, and all of a
increase the
sudden,
pressures.
oh my gosh! And down there, unbelievably, I watched a video. Guy was explaining the pressure of taking a 2x4 and putting it across your chest, and the deeper you go, the pressure on your chest, just with the 2x4, it got to. Long before you got to the Titanic, it got to more than 9,000 pounds of pressure on your chest with the 2x4.
Wow.
Unbelievable.
And the opposite of that is going to space because it explodes rather than implodes.
Right, because you're low pressure, the
Right.
higher in altitude
Yeah.
you get. You know, one way to kind of visualize it, and people may or may not have visualized this, you know, you have the old metal 1 gallon square gas can.
Yeah.
Well, if you empty it out and you set it out in the sun and then cool it off real quick, you'll watch that gas can kind of
Yep.
collapse down.
Well, they were doing stuff like that with train cars, train cars. They were showing how they implode and sucking the air, the pressure out of it to show what happens.
Yeah. I saw a picture of one that had imploded on the face of the earth.
Yeah. Well, that's because the
was intentionally
pressure
done.
inside is lower than the pressure outside
Right.
to the point of metal failure,
Yeah. Yeah.
structural failure.
Yeah, total. And
Well,
you'd think that the cylinders are built to hold all of that, not only just the pressure of the liquid inside it, creating that force on the outside of it, but with all of what is combustible or that sort of stuff, fumes inside there can increase exponentially.
Yeah.
Yeah, I'm fascinated by it. One thing that I could relate to with the car aspect of it is, okay, how much pressure can you put on the inside of an engine? 60 pounds per square inch in a top fuel dragster?
Oh, as far as forced air, yeah,
forced
from a
air,
supercharger.
60 psi. And that doesn't include
And you're
the-
putting it into a 12-to-1 compression piston cylinder itself. So now you're, 60 times 12 is
Well, there's other things to consider too.
9,600.
There's water grains. There's
960.
There's is it mean sea level,
Oh yeah,
all that.
all of that.
The
comes into play.
temperature has is
Exactly.
variable as well.
Right, and it's pressures that we deal with, and I don't know how. I'm not certainly an expert in any stretch of the imagination about these big explosions and stuff that happen over in the ship channel area with all of the refineries over there. But somehow,
Other than flying around them, filming them,
yeah, flying
hoping
around
you don't
them.
get too close.
Exactly. But I will tell you that from my experience inside those plants, which is very limited, but when you're in there and the plant is running, there are thousands of gallons a minute running through those pipes. The whole thing shakes with all of the product that's running through there. So they have one little hiccup, and it could be disastrous.
Quickly.
Very quickly. If a valve doesn't open at the right time when they're shifting products around. I mean, it's terrifying if you stop to think about it. But if you're standing there, all the pipes are shaking and all
It's
that
even
stuff.
more terrifying
Well,
because you're
no,
standing in the middle of
it's
it.
really not. But there are areas that they don't let you go. Even the employees, they don't let in there unless they shut that area of the plant down. It's that dangerous.
Wow.
Yeah, it's quite intimidating.
So like walking in the green room here, it's very,
It is.
Well, think about it. Fluid. They use fluid pressure, like water jet cutting. They use water at 15, 16,000 psi to cut metal.
Yes.
So when you focus that pressure on one finite little point, it's pretty easy to use it to do stuff. But you don't want to have it at that pressure and you not have it under control.
I have him potted up over here, by the way. And I hate to use the word potted up. That's an old radio term that doesn't mean what you think it means.
Well,
I was thinking
you're an old
70s.
radio guy, and back then it did.
Yeah, well, there's that. But a pot is short for potentiometer.
Randy Borcherding is watching.
And
Hi,
it-
Randy.
And it used to be you just turn the knob to increase volume and that sort of stuff.
what's it?
Through the-
What do you call it again?
Potentiometer.
Potentiometer.
It's like a volume button
A
or
volume knob.
switch.
Yeah. It was a knob back in the day.
I
Now
got
it's-
some good potentiometer.
Yeah.
Come for your daughter, Chuck.
You're feeling better, huh?
I am. I feel great.
That's good. I'm glad to hear
The
that.
surgery worked.
Awesome.
He went to a proctologist for migraines.
It's not even close.
Ford Motor Company is recalling certain 2019 through 2020 Fusion PHEV models for loss of power and fire risks. Oops.
Thermal events.
Thermal events. Owners are advised not to charge their vehicle until the remedy is completed, according to a Ford filing with NHTSA. If charged, the battery energy control module might become damaged because of excessive voltage and current flow. Number of potential vehicles affected, 14,452.1. There have been 7 fires and 270 warranty claims, according to the filing. A remedy for the power loss and fire risk is under development. Interim letters notifying owners of the safety risk are expected to be mailed July the 10th, according to the filing.
I wonder if that's kind of in the same vein when Chevrolet had the Bolt
Thermal
recall
event.
Yeah, and they told people don't park it in your garage.
And don't drive it.
Yep.
Just sit it out there in the yard.
Well, that seems to be the first.
And get the chocolate marshmallows and graham crackers.
The first thing that they tell you is don't park it in the garage. It's like number one. And even not only just General Motors. Bro.
There's a house over in First Colony, not too far from here, that clearly there was a garage fire, and the garage had a walkway, a covered walkway
To the
that
house.
connected
Yeah.
the garage to the house. Went right to the house because it was just a straight furnace pipe right into the house.
through that
Yikes.
Burnt the
walkway.
entire back of the house and clearly the garage to the ground. And, insurance and all that stuff, it's taken them over a year. They're just about finished with the repairs, but my gosh, talk about ruining your life. You ever been involved in any kind of fire?
No, don't want
Yep.
to.
I did here in Houston when I worked for General Motors. We did. I was the person that did the incident investigations. So it was the form was called a 1241. So if somebody said that, hey, my car caught fire in my garage and burned my house, I was one of the people who went to do the inspection. And they had a couple of them here in town, and I had to do the inspection. Not fun. Not fun for a multitude of reasons. Not fun just because you have to see the loss and devastation
people,
somebody's experienced. Not fun because while I'm there, I have to ask permission to be there, and as soon as you get permission, everybody's attorney shows up. So every note I take, every jot I put down on paper, I have to provide documentation to the plaintiff's attorney because it's going to go to a lawsuit. So. Yeah, it's not fun at all. And then, you just got to make sure you write down the facts as you see them and nothing else. No opinion.
I don't know how many cars are actually in this area of Texas that you would call the Houston area. I don't know how many. Millions.
Oh, I would say millions. I'd say 4 or 5 million.
Yeah. And I will tell you that it's truly amazing the number of car fires every day in this city. Most of them happen on the roadway. On the highway. On
Barbecues.
Barbecues, yeah, exactly. And once, it takes a while for the fire department to get there because you've already got a backup. So they've got to fight all the traffic to get to the fire.
Yeah.
And then put it out. And by that time.
And most of the time, at least I'll say most of the time, it's being fueled by whatever gasoline is in the vehicle. Mm-hmm. So that makes the fire go faster. And all the manufacturers have changed their fuel delivery systems to composite materials. So as soon as a fire starts, the plastic melts and the fuel escapes quicker.
Yep.
It's not contained anymore. Like years ago, you'd see the movies that all of a sudden the car would blow up. Generally, that was because they had my opinion was they had a metal fuel tank that eventually would expand and all the gas would escape at once. Now that plastic tank leaks and the fuel drains out on the ground, and that's what fuels the fire.
Yep. I've seen some.
But driving around town every now and then, you'll see that little black stain on the side of the highway that somebody's car had caught fire there. And if you look at it close enough, you can see parts of the car just melted, stuck to the ground. I did I was in small town Kentucky, north of Paducah.
Oh, been there.
And it was an Oldsmobile Aurora. And the guy said it caught fire, and I had to go look at it. And so I went to the location where it happened, and the fire was so hot and it burned for so long, the aluminum wheels had melted, and you could literally see 4 little puddles of aluminum from where the wheels were on the vehicle. Scary thing.
That was a carbureted engine, was it not?
Fuel injected.
It was fuel injected?
Yeah, that was the 4-liter North Star.
That was a cutting-edge car back in its day.
When it came out in 95, it was very cutting-edge. Style-wise, a very cutting-edge car.
It looked good. Isn't the version of that the one that A.J. Foyt went 1,000,000 miles an hour around?
The engine, out at Fort Stockton. Yeah. He set a number of records, endurance speed records.
Did they ever use that engine in anything?
Oh, yeah. Well, they used it in the Aurora. They used it in Indy Racing League when that IRL, when Indy cars switched to IRL.
Was it a V8?
Yep. Originally it was a 4-liter V8, and then IRL, they were going too fast, and they knocked it down to 3.5, and then they knocked it down to a V6, and now Indy cars are all 4-cylinder turbos. But they used it there. They
are those inline 4-cylinders?
Yeah.
Really?
In the Indy cars today, yeah.
Wow. How do they hold that thing together at 10,000 RPM?
Tightly. It's not just 10,000 RPM, it's also the amount of boost. Remember we talked about a couple of weeks ago when we were doing cylinder blocks, how much boost you could put in. Well, that's one of the things that, they're running so much boost in them to create the power they create.
I'd like to hear one of those things start up. I mean, you hear them on television. I'm not talking about that. I want to be next to it. Start it up. Let me see the RPM. Let me see what it sounds like.
I don't think you would be as impressed as
I
you
know.
think.
I don't think so either, because it doesn't sound like some,
Well, plus you've stood, feet away from a nitro top fuel car, where when it
that's cool.
starts up, your
Right
hair
next to
stands
it, actually,
up, your
yes.
eyes start watering.
Oh, yeah.
You can't breathe. The
That's
ground
a beautiful
shakes.
thing.
Yeah.
Oh, that's gorgeous.
You can feel the impulses of the combustion event on your chest. It's a wonderful thing.
Yeah, it is. It truly is. It's an experience that
Your internal organs jumping around.
Yeah. I'll never forget the first time I heard one. This was probably about 1969, and it was down at Houston International Raceway. Down in Dickinson.
Dickinson, yeah.
Yep. And I will tell you that it was truly, wow, I want to make love to this. It was one of those car guy kind of things. And standing feet
Just
away
makes
from
you
it.
happy.
Yeah, it does. Makes you happy.
Move your hands, Tom.
Wasn't me. I didn't do it. But it truly was. But at any rate, yeah.
We need to figure out how, if we're even going to get.
No,
Mitch on.
He's
well,
working on it. Let him go.
We'll
do
just
his
let
thing.
him do his thing. So anyway, we did the Ford Fusion recalls. I got lots more recalls, but I do want to get to a feature that Jeffrey has for us
Yep.
today.
Pretty
And that
serious one.
A serious
Yeah,
one, yeah.
well-
Hot cars, and we hear about it all the time. Now I haven't heard lots of that this year yet.
But
and
it's
I'm
coming.
kind of surprised by
Well,
the way the temperatures are going.
I've got you updates, and it is serious. Hot car deaths they're not common, but they do happen, and it's serious. And if you're a guardian or a parent, pay attention, please. We're in 40 countries, so everyone needs to know this. So the summer means more activities, more time. Got to do that. More time in our vehicles. Warmer temperatures. With rising temperatures, the chance of children dying in a hot car death also increases. These deaths are all preventable. I'm going to say that again, Conrad. All of these deaths are preventable. Hot car deaths deserve attention not only in the scorching summer months, but all year long. Temperatures can increase in a vehicle to dangerous levels in less than an hour. And this doesn't mean it has to be that hot outside. Many people just don't realize how quickly a car can heat up on a warm day. There was a 4-year-old boy in 2020 that died from heat stroke when it was 78 degrees outside. Another child died in 2005 when it was 73 degrees outside. Many people just don't realize how quickly a car can heat up. If it's 73 degrees outside, it only takes 25 minutes for temperatures inside a vehicle to exceed 100 degrees. The majority of temperature increases also occur within the first 15 to 30 minutes of the vehicle being unattended, proving that it doesn't take long to reach dangerous temperatures. Hot car death is also known as pediatric vehicular heat stroke, or PVH, and refers to the unintended fatality of a child under the age of 18 that perishes due to severe heat or heat stroke within an enclosed or contained vehicle. The interior of a car. Oh no, sorry. Let's just go to this.
Thank you.
It
Go
worked
ahead,
out.
Reed.
Sorry. The interior of a car, such as the dark upholstery or leather-wrapped steering wheel, can attract heat and hold it. Now, I have a leather-wrapped steering wheel and all that. We're good, Conrad. With no incoming cycle of fresh air or cool the interior, the temperatures exponentially become hotter and hotter, growing dangerous levels and proves fatal to those inside. Both pets and children are especially susceptible because the lack of the ability to safely extricate themselves from these vehicles in this situation. Some of the warning signs of heat stroke or heat-related deaths: a core temperature of 104 degrees or higher. Now, when you got the flu, you're thinking 101, 102, I'm going to take Tylenol, oh my gosh, I'm sick. 104 or higher, that's very hot. Skin feels hot and dry. You get confusion, agitation, and irritability, slurred speech, delirium, flushed skin, rapid breathing, racing heart, headache, nausea, vomiting, seizures, and coma. If you're to those last three, you really do need to get some help. Fortunately, there are fewer children falling victim to the PVH, and it's due to several things. Car manufacturers are putting notifications, and Leslie indicated last night that she's got a warning in her vehicle that says check your back seat.
Yeah, if you've opened the back door.
There's other ways to do that. If you're the dad or a brother and you're taking a child or even an elderly person maybe to the doctor or out for whatever appointment, take your left shoe off. Put your left shoe in the back seat. Simple as that.
Oh,
Or
that's
the women,
a great idea.
Women put their purses in the back seat next to the child. Adjust your mirror so you can see that person. Like if you're getting out of the car, you look in the mirror. Oh, there's the child seat. So there are ways
great
for
ideas.
preventing this. There has been a noticeable decline. Since 1998, there have been 39 children die in hot car-related incidents. It's about 910 over the course since 1998. There has been one child in Texas died this year, so far this summer, in a hot car-related death. There's been 8 in the United States, 3 of them in Florida. So they're spotty around the United States, but as these heat things move across the country, be aware of it. It's not just the United States. There's all countries have this heat-related stuff. Be aware of it. Do something. Don't. The child goes for a little nap and
Be
you forget
active.
about it. Exactly. Be proactive. So that's my little tip for the summertime. To keep
Well, I have
going.
to tell you, even I don't have young children. I don't have anybody that I'm taking to
But
work.
you see 'em.
But in my instance, what I do is if things got a sunroof, either make the thing raise up a little bit, tilt it up, and then crack the windows just a little bit. So at least I don't want to get in the car myself after a long day sitting out with windows rolled up. Maybe you park your car in a place that's not really advisable to do that, but do it anyway.
Well, I can tell you from an automotive engineering point of view, they have to build, and not that this is related, but in a way it is, the plastics that are inside of a car have to withstand 150 degrees for 8 hours. That's in the engineering
Specifications.
specifications
right.
for it. So they know those kind of interior temperatures are a high not a possibility, but a probability that they're going to see those kinds of temperatures. And that's where the problem comes, is there's no air circulation and you basically sit in there and bake.
Yeah. Just make sure that you're aware of your surroundings, especially with young children and elderly.
By the way, a portion of our show is sponsored today by the In Real Time, sponsored by Texas Nostalgia Modified Production. We're going to do the race card right after a quick break, okay? You ready? All right. We are going to take a quick break, and we'll be right back right after these messages. Everyone at the Tailpipes and Tacos Cruise In at the Lupi Tortilla Tex-Mex in Katy, thank you for participating in the best cruise in around, and look forward to seeing you again. You'll hear about the next cruise-in date right here on In Real Time. Next time you're in the West Houston Energy Corridor area, be sure and stop in at the original Lupi Tortilla Tex-Mex at I-10 and Highway 6, or the Katy location on the Grand Parkway at Kingsland Boulevard. When passing through Beaumont or College Station, stop in and have Lupi's award-winning beef fajitas and frozen margaritas. There's always a celebration at Lupi Tortilla. Lupi Tortilla founder Stan Holt and his wife Sheila are winning racers on the NHRA drag racing circuit and have a collection of hot rods and classics that everyone appreciates. Look for them at the next Tailpipes and Tacos Cruise-In. The date will be announced soon and will once again be held at the Lupi Tortilla Tex-Mex on 99 and Kingsland Boulevard, just south of I-10 and Katy. We'll give you all the details right here on the In Real Time Car Talk Show and online. Donations benefit God's Garage. We'll see you then. You own a car you love. Well, why not let Gulf Coast Auto Shield protect it? Houstonian John Gray invites you to his state-of-the-art facility to introduce you to his specialist team of auto enthusiasts. We promise you'll be impressed. Whether you're looking to massage your original paint to a like-new appearance, apply a ceramic coating, install a paint protection film, nano-ceramic window tint, or new windshield protection called ExoShield, Gulf Coast Auto Shield is where Houston's car people go. Curbed your wheels? Instead of buying new, why not have them repaired? How about a professionally installed radar detector? Gulf Coast Auto Shield does that too. Get a peek inside the shop and look at the services offered by getting online and heading to gcautoshield.com. Better yet, stop by their facility at 11275 South Sam Houston Tollway, just south of the Southwest Freeway, and get a personal tour. Gulf Coast Auto Shield is your place to go for all things exterior. Call them today, 832-930-5655 or gcautoshield.com. The award-winning In Real Time Car Talk Show is available on the most popular podcast channels out there in 30-minute episodes. We realize our 3-hour live show can be difficult to catch in its entirety, so now you can listen every day to a convenient, fresh 30-minute episode. Check us out on Apple Podcasts, Spotify, Google Podcasts, Amazon Music, and Audible, along with a dozen more. In Real Time has the most informative automotive guest interviews and new car reviews, along with popular features including Conrad's Car Clinic and This Week in Auto History, along with automotive news headlines. Our live broadcast airs every Saturday, 8 to 11 Central on InWillTime.com, the iHeart app, and on YouTube. Be sure to say hello when we're broadcasting from the Tailpipes and Tacos Cruise Inn, Autorama, and the Houston Auto Show, among others. Now, it's easier than ever to hear about all things automotive all week long. You're invited to join fellow car enthusiasts in becoming part of the ever-growing In Wheel Time Car Talk family. Don't forget those 30-minute podcast episodes on your favorite podcast channel. Live, it's the In Wheel Time Car Talk Show. Coming up, it's Garage Talk amongst the boys.
Uh-oh.
Well, three of us anyway. Mr. Mars is buried up in his computer over there. Conrad's going to have the In Wheel Time Car Clinic, and I'll bring you this week's automotive news. Howdy, along with Mike Out of This World Mars. King Conrad DeLong. We always need more Jeff Zekin. I'm Don Armstrong. Thanks so much for joining us on this Saturday. It's a 4th of July weekend, and we hope that yours is starting out the way that you actually wanted it to start off.
Better than ours is.
Well, better than Mars's is, that's for sure.
Well, it's just a minor glitch.
He's making
Things
progress.
happen,
Is he making progress?
Yeah.
Okay. Well, I'm glad.
It's
You
the
know who
heat.
he's talking to now? He's talking to David? Yeah.
I think he's talking to his broker.
His broker, yeah. Let's see. Oh, I know what I was looking for. There is a big event, and Conrad's going to have this, I think, in the rundown of all of the just a
Important
moment.
things.
Upcoming
Racing.
Yeah, the racing stuff. There's the drag strip. There's June. There's July. Oval race. July 1st, tonight,
Dun, dun, dun.
featuring a fireworks show and 8 race classes. Eco Stocks, Pro Modifieds, Pro Trucks,
Oh, that's cool.
At a Texas Motorsports Park.
Legacies, NASCARs, I love them.
Oh,
Legends, it's all going to be.
I like the legends.
I do too. Yeah, those
And
are the ones with the little motorcycle engines in them that go about a bajillion miles an hour.
And there's NASCAR birthdays too. Landon Castle was born on the 7th of July.
Oh, we're not doing birthdays. We're talking about racing.
Well, that's Matt. These are racing guys. Matt Benedito, 27th, and Kyle
you
Larson.
just wanted to put your 2 cents in. Didn't
Yeah,
you?
yeah. And I missed June, and we missed May altogether. So there you go.
Birthdays.
June Cleaver. I miss June Cleaver, too.
Yeah, Ward.
You know, there's a television station in town that does birthdays on their morning news. I'm going. You know, I remember that back in the 1960s radio. You got to be kidding me.
It's fun.
They just
No,
need,
it's terrible
They
is
just
what
need
it is.
filler.
I guess
Exactly.
it's awful, just awful.
Well, Channel 11 does it for the nighttime news because
I didn't say anything.
They celebrate another day on the air.
Generally, Angela and I are waiting for Wheel of Fortune, so we're watching the end of the news on Channel 11, and they do this birthday thing. You
They
send
do
it into
Zen.
them. Yeah,
They
Zen.
take a picture of the zoo and the Zen.
Or the waterfall,
Yeah.
the waterfall wall.
Somebody walking through the beach. Or whatever. Yeah.
Or Don flying over somewhere in Houston over a wreck. Chasing.
Wreck or mayhem,
Chasing
or
a Hellcat to winning.
murders, and all of that
Mayhem.
stuff.
Do you have
Yeah.
a busy week this week in
Oh
the
my
helicopter?
God, you have no clue.
They get the air conditioning fixed in
No,
that thing?
one
yet?
day this week I flew 5 hours. Sit in the back of a helicopter for 5 hours.
So you should bring Jeff's piece to your station and say, hey, you're exposing me to this.
The station has anything to do with that.
They could care less.
No, I wouldn't say that. But
I can.
They have no control over it.
they have no control over it. I work for a contractor,
There you go.
Helicopters Incorporated. So
Big outfit.
they are
Yeah,
actually.
Helicopters Incorporated, not helicopters air conditioned.
No, correctly. Yes, exactly. All right.
Okay.
So do you want to do the racing card now?
I forgot
Sure.
what we were doing.
I didn't.
The Australian Grand Prix sprints are this weekend.
Wait a minute. Let me.
Formula One.
The Australian
Austrian Grand Prix sprints are this weekend.
Austrian Grand Prix sprints.
Right. So it's a couple of short sprint races
In the
for
Alps.
points through
For
Austria.
Formula One. Mm-hmm. Are they drag racing Formula One cars?
No. It's a different format than a.
Is it a roundy round? Because
No,
when I
well,
think of sprint cars, I'm thinking of dirt track.
No, this is
Sprint means
it's
short
actually
distance.
it's actually the shortest track, the Austrian track where they run this. It's the shortest lap time in F1. And they just do, they run short time sprints around it and earn points on it. So did you hear the latest that Hamilton is complaining to the FIA that they should do something to control Red Bull's dominance of F1 the last couple of
What
years?
comes around, Hey, he should put his purse down and quit complaining.
You whiny little hoo-ha.
Yeah.
It was okay when Mercedes dominated for 7 years, but oh gosh, Red Bull's dominating, so we got to stop that.
What kind of engine does Red Bull run?
Well, it was a Toyota at one point. Toyota? Yeah, a Toyota at one point. Now it's called a Red Bull, but it's the same.
The engine is called a Red Bull.
Right.
It's like Peugeot or something.
Are you serious? That's what they call?
Well, they bought all of the engineering rights to it, and the engineers all went to work for Red Bull, and it's a Red Bull.
You've got to be kidding me. An energy drink has turned into a racing engine program.
Well, you got to think the Mario Andretti or Michael Andretti's Cadillac team is thinking of leasing that engine for their cars.
Yep, thank them every day.
So
The Red Bull engine. So no Cadillac engine in a Cadillac.
no,
What?
don't get me going.
I can't. I don't know.
And Mary Barra makes $29 million a year for what? The destruction of what was at one point the
Okay,
greatest
so what we got on the
corporation in
racing
America.
calendar there today?
No, I don't want to continue this.
He's in the Mary Barra. He's
And
going to go
then
off.
IndyCar is at Mid-Ohio tomorrow.
Well, she needs to take her jock strap off. And never mind. Sorry.
Tomorrow night is Chicago. The streets of Chicago. with
I'm going to
NASCAR.
watch that. I want to see
I'm going to
what
watch that.
yeah.
It's going to be interesting.
When is it? Tomorrow night?
Yeah.
Tomorrow night. Yeah.
Tomorrow night on the street.
Well,
It's
evening.
5 o'clock. It starts 5 o'clock Eastern time, so 4 o'clock our time. In the streets of Chicago.
I know. I think is cool. But apparently this is a big, big deal for Chicago.
Yeah, and they ran on the iRacing, the computerized version, and they had some laps they were doing. It's actually a pretty tight course. There's not going to be a lot of passing.
Well, there's not. It's going to be a lot of concrete.
Yeah, and they say the walls are really close. It's really thin.
Narrow.
Yeah, narrow.
Well, it's like a
So
regular
that should be a
street.
lot of fun. Well, it's the first time NASCAR has done street, city streets. Formula One has done city streets,
Yeah.
since its inception. Like Monaco. They're racing through the streets of Monaco. Well, this is
I
racing
love that
through
race.
yeah.
I love Monaco.
One of my favorites is Monaco.
Yeah.
Always has been.
Yeah.
Some of it because of the movie Grand Prix.
Yes.
But some of it just because the challenge of going that fast in those small little city streets.
In the tunnel.
Well, I know that somebody was going, well, what are they going to do? They're going to have to put security guards around all the race cars at night so they
I
don't
imagine-
steal
You
the tires
think?
and wheels
I
off of
imagine
them?
they already have. I imagine there's very tight security there.
I'd like to think so. Yeah, because this is a big deal, not only for NASCAR, but it's also a big deal for Chicago.
Oh, yeah. Well, Chicago is kind of, as are lots of the major metropolitan areas, are kind of losing a lot of their
Panache.
panache because of all the crime issues that are having and their
How about that San
tourists.
Francisco? Isn't that great?
it's a sewer.
It is a sewer.
Best thing that happens to San Francisco is rain because that's what washes all the feces and urine.
All
off
righty
the
then.
streets.
Enjoy your breakfast out there.
It's awful. All right. So what else?
Well, that's it. And then Texas Modified Production. I believe they're running next weekend as well.
Texas Nostalgic.
Did you?
Texas Nostalgia.
Yeah. Did
Drag
you
Racing.
happen to look at their Facebook page?
Nope.
Do you want me to do that?
If you would, please.
Because you don't have a computer.
No, his is-
Mr.
Yeah.
Mars is
Mars
stolen.
has my computer.
I thought that I had them on a.
He's pointing again.
I thought I had them on a favorites, but Texas Modified.
Texas Nostalgic Modified.
Oh, sorry.
Productions?
And they are go on the clutch. There's
Yep.
there's no trans brakes, nothing. Everything's mechanical.
By the way,
Racing out of the 60s.
I went and saw Dale Hultquist this week, and we.
How's he doing?
Great. He's doing great. We had a very interesting conversation about gassers, and there are some gassers on the NHRA circuit that he runs, 2 or 3 of them, and they've made room for them, and they're very popular, and they are very expensive. I'm fascinated
I know.
by this mechanical thing that we've
I
got
know.
going on.
He's got
over
3
here.
computers
He's got an
now.
adapter.
Oh my God, he's got 2 or 3 adapters.
And 3 computers.
Yeah, exactly. It's kind of like stacking a carburetor on top of a carburetor, isn't it?
He's got
Let's see.
And that wire is
here.
not long enough.
he's got a tri-power going.
Yeah. Golly. Well, there's the in-wheel time thing.
Yeah.
It says here, July the 8th. Let's look. Texas Drag Racing Association. I can't really see it very well. I don't know where it is. It's event number 6, Extreme Raceway Park. Where is Extreme Raceway Park?
Ferris, Texas, which is, I guess that is suburbs.
That's south of Dallas.
Yeah, somewhere south of Dallas.
And what's
You
it
just
called?
unplugged
Extreme Raceway Park. Well, we're just going to look that up real quick, okay? And it ain't going to be real quick. Let me see if is it. Maybe they have a Facebook page, okay?
You just switch that one.
Anyhow,
There it is. Extreme Raceway Park in Ferris. Um,
I think it's just north of Ennis, if I'm correct.
It is an 8th mile drag racing facility located off of I-45 in Ferris, Texas. Okay.
Actually, I think you could see the track from I-45.
Really?
Yeah, right after you go north of Ennis.
Huh.
It's on the east side of the highway.
Well, I don't know who made the poster, but the poster doesn't give the date.
Uh-oh.
Coming up this weekend to XRP, Pro Extreme, Junior Drags, Extreme Junior, Extreme Index Motorcycle, American Drag Racing League. No. It's too confusing for me to do this on the air.
Yep.
And it doesn't take much to get me confused anyway, so we just move on from that. But at any rate, if you want to go see the gassers,
Texas Nostalgic Drag Racers.
yeah,
Leave
What-
on
what-
the clutch. No electronic gearing. No
As a
fuel
matter of fact,
injection. Everything's carbureted.
at Dale Hultquist's place, I will tell you that he had a gasser, and there was a 55 gasser. I didn't hear it run, but it is a blown
Gorgeous.
engine,
Straight axle.
I'm
Oh,
just
yeah,
imagining.
absolutely.
Yeah.
and the front end sitting up on it.
Oh, yeah.
Red, and he was doing the interior in it, and it is really something to see. I'd love to see one of those on the street.
Oh, they probably put them on the street every now and then. I don't know that that's where they belong, but
Well, no, they don't belong there, but how fun.
Yeah.
Yeah, pull up to the stoplight, and all of a sudden, next to you rolls up this 1955 red Chevy,
and you're looking up at it.
And
looking up at it, and is this ginormous chrome blower and all the
Going-
chrome places.
Going to work and the guy's in a suit.
yeah,
Going,
that's
you know,
right.
he's-
That's right.
With
Hey,
a kid
and-
in the back seat.
Yeah, yeah.
exactly.
And it has slicks on it, but it does have one groove, so it can be legal.
Yeah, a little cheater slick.
Cheater slick.
couple little dots in it.
Yeah, love those.
Did you have those on your Corvette?
I did not have those on my Corvette. No. I've never drag raced the Corvette. Well, I say that. Last year, when
Intentionally, you never drag raced.
Well, he did once when he was on the Texas.
Well, no, he's talking about the other Corvette, that Corvette.
Oh no.
oh no, I never did.
No, that was his show.
Actually,
baby.
I did run it down Houston Raceway Park.
For those of you who can't see, there's a picture in front of us behind the camera of Don's Corvette, the 77.
The 77 Corvette.
big
that's
spread
a
photograph.
that's a Bill Seitz presentation
He's-
there.
Good drawing.
It's really faded, really bad, but it was a watercolor that he did for me,
Nice.
and I showed that with the car, and it gave all of the
Stats.
see 77 coupe, 350 cubic inch L82, 4-speed power steering and brakes, tilt telescopic steering, AC leather, AM/FM stereo, Gymkhana suspension, front and rear spoilers that I put on there.
And it was an absolute slug.
It was, but
I couldn't get out of its own way.
And that's the car review for the Corvette this week.
That's right. Well, I think it had like 182 horsepower or something out of all the cubic inches. Pathetic. But hey, back in the day, it's all
And that was
it
before Mary Barra screwed up GM.
Here we go.
Right. Yeah, that was the United States government that did that. Yeah, EPA regulations.
Smog controls.
Let's see. Well, what do I want to do here? You want to do the car clinic?
Sure.
I got it all ready to go.
Okay, well, let's do the car clinic. Conrad's car clinic. What are we doing today? I gave Conrad the charge of going a little bit deeper into the car clinic. And let's talk about, engine modifications, how parts of the engine work, and that sort of thing.
So last week we did exhaust systems. And remember I talked about how basically an engine is an air pump.
Yes.
And as an air pump, it's how much air can you get in, how much air can you get out, and how loud the bang can be between getting in and getting out, which is what creates the power. So last week we talked about intake or exhaust manifolds. This week we're going to talk about intake manifolds. So this intake manifold is off a Ford Model T. Even Henry Ford back in the teens understood airflow in the engine, so he tried to keep it from having real sharp bends and turns to create the most power it could. Now that was for a 4-cylinder. It just had 2 ports went into the cylinder head, and then inside the cylinder head it moved to the individual cylinders. So very simple. That was actually cast iron in its day. So very simple. The next,
what is this one here?
That is a 2-barrel intake manifold for a flathead. Most flatheads came with a single 2-barrel.
Yep.
Well, the modifiers, they wanted to jump up to 2 barrels, because way back when it first came out, 4 barrels didn't necessarily exist in any volume. So they would just put 2 barrels on it and then move to 3 2 barrels and then 4 barrels.
What time frame was this in?
This was probably back in the 30s. This intake manifold was designed for 36, 37, 38
I was just going to
Wow.
say 38, yeah.
Wow.
Ford flathead. And then, of course, everybody remembers the small block Chevy intake manifold, and the small block Chevy intake manifold, very common. Now, this happens to be an Edelbrock version of a small block Chevy,
Yep.
but
I want you briefly. Would you talk about the plenum and the divider between the two? Because some people have things about the divider, and some they grind out a little bit, or some of them don't have any.
Yeah, so what it's trying to do is control the airflow to each side of the engine, the divider is, so that, you're getting the fuel isn't mixing, because as the airflow isn't mixing, because as each valve opens up, it creates a rush of air, and that rush of air is what draws the fuel out of the carburetor. So they want to keep that as metered as possible. Carburetors, it's a lot harder to meter than it is on fuel injection systems. But if you look at this, it's relatively low, relatively flat. My opinion is it has some real sharp bends in it. And those sharp bends,
You talk about the orifice, the opening?
for the air.
Right.
No, the opening there,
The
that's
runners.
right underneath that's right underneath the carburetor. The runners that you see that go from the opening over to the cylinders, those are kind of short and squatty and kind of have some sharp bends, which aren't good for power and high RPMs, but they do the things that the engineers wanted, which was a little bit more about torque. They wanted that feeling of torque in that engine. So,
But I'm still questioning that you've got the upper on the shot, you've got the upper that's more rounded on the top versus the oval on the bottom side of it. The openings are different.
and that's because the bottom one, the air has to travel further to the bottom to get to the other intake runners. So again, it's the engineers trying to design the airflow to be even on both sides, and control the temperature of the intake manifold as well, because a lot of these intake manifolds would have a heat crossover right underneath the carburetor, because the intention of the carburetor is to produce atomized air that's drawn into the cylinders. Well, if the air isn't atomized because it's cold, then the engine doesn't run properly, so they run heat crossovers underneath them. So the next thing is and this was a kind of a street version of what's called a torquer intake manifold. So here you can see that the carburetor's higher up in the air, which goes back to what Don was talking about, how now it doesn't fit under the hood. The intake runners are all about the same length, and they're much straighter. All of those sharp bends are gone. And again, that's to create more power at higher RPMs. Very common back in the 60s to put what I called a torquer intake manifold. Didn't matter if it was a small block Chevy, Oldsmobile, Ford, whoever it was. The torquer manifold was the one of choice in its day. And then, then we'd go drag racing, and drag racing gets even more extreme because they want to create even more power. So they created something called the tunnel ram.
Yeah.
So now you can see the intake runners are extremely straight and very long, and that length of that intake runner is tuned in to create a certain amount of power. Now this has 2 4-barrels on it. You could replace that upper plenum piece to a single 4-barrel or 3 2-barrels, whatever you wanted to do. You just had to pay the price for that. So very, very common at the drag races for a tunnel ram intake manifold. So the manufacturers were like, well, heck, I can do that. So they had built, this is a cross ram intake, 2 4-barrel cross ram that came on the Z69 Z28. It was available on a 69 Z28 with the DZ302 motor in it. That's a lot of carburetor for that engine.
Yeah, too much.
Big old ports.
But again, the intent is to shorten the runners down to get the fuel into the engine
Immediately.
and create a lot of fuel availability for the engine. Very rare piece of metal right there. Very expensive
On eBay.
to find and buy. Yeah, I found that picture on eBay. And then, Chevrolet wasn't the only one. The original cross ram intake manifolds were provided by Mopar on the old wedge
There you
engines,
go.
the 413 and 426 wedge.
You
not
can
the
look
Hemis,
at that
but the
and
wedge.
think wedge. That's what I think of.
And John Hovis, happy birthday, John. He's got one of those cross ram intakes on a Dodge Polara. I think there's a red one out there that he has that has an original cross ram intake on it. Pretty cool. Very, very cool car. And then, of course, that wasn't the only place they did it. They also did it on the Hemi. So Hemis generally were 2 4-barrel car engines. So the 2 4-barrels on the Hemis were they offered them in a cross ram version as well.
That's the one that I remember.
Yeah,
More
well,
than
I
anything
think the
else.
next one's the one you're going to remember because they were inline. These are cross ram. Then the Hemi was actually 2 4-barrels that were inline. Pretty. Well, I guess that one didn't show up. Either way, so now as technology advances, now they do these molded composite intake manifolds. You can still see how long those runners are and how straight those runners are. But now, that's an intake manifold off an LS3 Chevy. And then the hot rod version of the tunnel ram that you see on some of the hot rod LS engines here, again, going back to the tunnel ram. Now, in Don's honor, remember, we hear his story about his Blue Flame 6, and it had a single 2-barrel on it. So this would have been the intake manifold
Correct.
on a Blue Flame 6. And you look at that and you're like, oh my gosh, how far did it have to go to get to the outside cylinders? And they generally ran very lean.
Here's my Offenhauser.
And then there's an Offenhauser that Don talks about that he put on his. And now you have 2 2-barrel carburetors that were actually closer to the cylinders.
Yep.
And that's why it created so much
And
more
all
power.
I did was I went out and bought another Rochester carburetor, which is what it originally came with. And I put 2 of them on there. Clearly, the original one and the new one.
And it took that much more fuel, and fuel was
It swallowed it down.
atomized closer
Yeah.
and created more power. So
yeah.
it probably made a big
Along with
difference.
the high-low guy said, well, you want a 3/4 race cam or a full race cam? I said, give me the 3/4 race cam.
Because you didn't have 4 quarters.
Yeah, right.
Yeah.
And I put a new cam in that thing, and it eloped like a mule. And that's in honor of Mr. Mars over there.
Hauling donkey, Monty the donkey,
And then
the
I
singing
put
donkey.
a Mallory dual-point distributor in it.
Oh,
which was-
you made a lot of work out of that.
I did. And I will tell you that was hell to tune.
It was still a dog.
It was a stump puller.
It was a stump pull. It pulled the front wheels off the ground.
And you think manufacturers have gone full range from single carburetors to 2-barrels to 4-barrels to 3 2-barrels
Yeah.
to 2 4-barrels. There was actually a series of 3-barrel carburetors that were out there at one point as well. So that's
I vaguely remember that.
Yeah, we'll talk carburetors
The
next week.
secondary was a big long thing.
Yep.
Yeah.
kind of an odd shape
Yeah.
looking thing.
Mhm. Yeah.
So
Well, how fun was that?
It was good.
That was good.
Good stuff.
Good.
that's why I had to make sure I put your Blue Flame 6-cylinder intake manifold.
Blue
in there.
flame.
Mr. Mars, how are we coming over there?
How you doing, Michael?
Not coming at all?
We're working on it.
You're working
He's
on
still
it. All
working
right.
on it.
So we got some more recalls to tell you about.
They're never ending.
Mazda CX-90 for 2024. Loss of vehicle control.
What?
They don't give specifics. That's all it says. Oh, my God. Okay, that's not scary. Unintended vehicle movement from a brake fluid leak on the Acura Integra, RDX, Accord, and Civic for 2022 and 2023. Toyota Camry and Camry Hybrid for 23. Wheels may detach from loose lug nuts. Go out there and check your lug nuts.
There you go.
I know you do frequently.
Often.
Can you check mine?
Defective pyrotechnic battery disconnect on the Tesla Model 3 and the Tesla Model Y for 2023. I did not know.
Pyrotechnic battery disconnect. So I guess, and I'm just kind of reading into this, if the vehicle's in a certain kind of wreck
Or condition.
they want the batteries to disconnect.
Yeah.
So that
And it may already be on fire.
Yeah.
So how else would you disconnect it other than blow it off?
with pyrotechnics. But
Pyrotechnics.
you think there's a lot of pyrotechnics in cars already. You know, there's pyrotechnics in the driver's
airbags.
side and passenger airbag. There's pyrotechnics in the pre-tensioning seatbelt systems. So there's a lot of things that blow up when you have a wreck.
Well, that's soothing. Rear view camera image may not display on the Volkswagen ID4. Deformation of the strut mount in the Volkswagen Golf R and GTI for 2023.
Uh-oh.
That's not good.
No.
I'd wear some tires out.
Yeah. Can you
Hi,
imagine?
my strut mount bent.
Yeah. How
Collapse.
about the engineer on that project? Sir, your strut mount, the engineer thing that you did on that, you're fired.
You're gone.
How do you fix that?
You don't.
You
You have
replace.
to,
Or
you'd
you'd have to build
replace
some
it.
kind of but if you're deforming the strut tower,
Well, it
you've gotta
depends.
build-
Is the strut tower? It's not.
Is it engineered to do what it's supposed to do?
right.
I can only imagine that's not formed into it. It's probably a riveted on piece.
Oh
or
yeah,
something.
yeah, spot welded on.
Yeah, something. One of those kind of things. Yeah. All right.
Oops.
Oopsie.
Another oops. Yeah.
And Mary Barra still makes 29
Oh,
million.
man.
Okay. Hey, you're on the In-Wheel Time Car Talk Show. We're going to take a quick break, and we'll be back after this. Everyone at the Tailpipes and Tacos Cruise In at the Lupi Tortilla Tex-Mex in Katy, thank you for participating in the best cruise in around, and look forward to seeing you again. You'll hear about the next cruise in date right here on In-Wheel Time. Next time you're in the West Houston Energy Corridor area, be sure and stop in at the original Lupi Tortilla Tex-Mex at I-10 and Highway 6, or the Katy location on the Grand Parkway at Kingsland Boulevard. When passing through Beaumont or College Station, stop in and have Lupi's award-winning beef fajitas and frozen margaritas. There's always a celebration at Lupi Tortilla. Lupi Tortilla founder Stan Holt and his wife Sheila are winning racers on the NHRA drag racing circuit and have a collection of hot rods and classics that everyone appreciates. Look for them at the next Tailpipes and Tacos Cruise In. The date will be announced soon and will once again be held at the Lupi Tortilla Tex-Mex on 99 and Kingsland Boulevard, just south of I-10 and Katy. We'll give you all the details right here on the In Real Time Car Talk Show and online. Donations benefit God's Garage. We'll see you then. You own a car you love. Well, why not let Gulf Coast Auto Shield protect it? Houstonian John Gray invites you to his state-of-the-art facility to introduce you to his specialist team of auto enthusiasts. We promise you'll be impressed. Whether you're looking to massage your original paint to a like-new appearance, apply a ceramic coating, install a paint protection film, nano-ceramic window tint, or new windshield protection called ExoShield, Gulf Coast Auto Shield is where Houston's car people go. Curbed your wheels? Instead of buying new, why not have them repaired? How about a professionally installed radar detector? Gulf Coast Auto Shield does that too. Get a peek inside the shop and look at the services offered by getting online and heading to gcautoshield.com. Better yet, stop by their facility at 11275 South Sam Houston Tollway, just south of the Southwest Freeway, and get a personal tour. Gulf Coast Auto Shield is your place to go for all things exterior. Call them today, 832-930-5655 or gcautoshield.com. The award-winning In-Wheel Time Car Talk Show is available on the most popular podcast channels out there in 30-minute episodes. We realize our 3-hour live show can be difficult to catch in its entirety, so now you can listen every day to a convenient, fresh 30-minute episode. Check us out on Apple Podcasts, Spotify, Google Podcasts, Amazon Music, and Audible, along with a dozen more. In Wheel Time has the most informative automotive guest interviews and new car reviews, along with popular features including Conrad's Car Clinic and This Week in Auto History, along with automotive news headlines. Our live broadcast airs every Saturday, 8 to 11 Central on InWheelTime.com, the iHeart app, and on YouTube. Be sure to say hello when we're broadcasting from the Tailpipes and Tacos Cruise Inn, Autorama, and the Houston Auto Show, among others. Now, it's easier than ever to hear about all things automotive all week long. You're invited to join fellow car enthusiasts in becoming part of the ever-growing In Wheel Time Car Talk family. Don't forget those 30-minute podcast episodes on your favorite podcast channel. Live from Studio A, inside the world-famous Sugar Shack in Texas, USA.
All right.
It's the In Wheel Time Car Talk Show. Well, we were going to try to zap the power of Buzz Smith with 100-degree heat and EVs, and we're going to still try to get him on, but Mars has had all sorts of issues over there, along with the other issues that Mars normally has in his life. We'll also have the upcoming events calendar. Mars reviews the new Kia Seltos for 2024,
Yes.
not 23, as he wrote down here.
Yep.
Plus, you'll hear the stories making automotive news headlines. Howdy, along with Mike Out of This World Mars, King Conrad DeLong. We need more Jeff Zekin. I'm Don Armstrong. Glad that you could join us on this day, on this Saturday. It is the 4th of July weekend in Houston, Texas, and we are so glad that you could join us, and thank you very much for doing that. It's not the 4th of July
Yet.
around the world as we know it.
Yes, it is. It's the 4th of July everywhere. Who cares whether or not they celebrate it with us, because they all want to come here anyhow, because we're the greatest country in the
You know,
world.
I hear just a little bit of bitterness in
Yeah,
that.
and Mary Barrett's still making $27 million.
29.
Whatever.
It's the American way.
It is. So we were going to have Buzz Smith on, talk about electric cars, and I love razzing Buzz, and if he can hear us, it's done kind of cheeky.
Well, he's a font of information.
He is a font of information, and I
As it
do
comes to
respect his
EVs.
knowledge, and he's a big flag waver of all things electric, especially automobiles. So with that in mind,
He's an early adopter.
he is.
So if you want to adopt Buzz, send
Yeah.
us an email
The
at
other,
info
the
at
other thing about
InWheelTime.
Buzz is that I didn't realize this. He was a car salesman many years
Yep.
ago. That he sold gasoline engines.
At I think it was the Classic Chevrolet in Grapevine,
Yep.
which is kind of the mothership to the Classic Chevrolets throughout Houston.
So he would be trans automotive
Yeah. Bye.
or binary.
I'm not going to go there. I'll
That's
just,
like
I'll just
Sewell.
get in
It
trouble.
wouldn't be Mr. Buzz Smith. It would just be Buzz.
And Sewell up in the Dallas area is the mothership of all the
Sewell's,
Sewell's. All right. Volkswagen is in talks now with Tesla to adopt its North American Charging Standard, or NACS, technology, while the German automaker's charging network unit, Electrify America, has already agreed to use the system. So I did not realize that Volkswagen is behind Electrify America, which is charging places. Did you know that?
No, I didn't realize that they were behind it. I'm not surprised that they're a part of it, though.
The announcement comes as a slew of automakers and charging equipment makers choose Tesla's charging design on concerns of losing out on customers if they offer only the combined charging system, or CCS design, which is backed by automakers like Volkswagen and Hyundai. Electrify America, Volkswagen's EV charging network unit, has more than 850 charging stations with about 4,000 chargers in the U.S. and Canada. During the NACS transition, Electrify America will continue to offer the widely used CCS connector. So what they're going to do is have two there for you eventually.
Well, and that's why they all want to jump on Tesla, because Elon is spending money on the infrastructure building Tesla charging stations. Like I
let
said,
him spend his money, and we'll just kind of
well, I mean, but they're going to pay to get
Yeah.
on his thing. It's like I said, out in Beaumont, out there near Papados, Elon put in 12 charging stations. So it's in a little shopping center. You can go eat dinner at Papados, get your car charged.
Papados actually would probably be the ones that paid for that.
right.
Well, it's not actually on Papado's property, but yeah, Papado's benefits from it because it's just a short walk. To go
So
have
that's a
dinner.
new business opportunity then. Conrad DeLong wants to put in charging stations, so you contact Tesla, you own the property, you buy that equipment from Tesla, and you put in your own charging station.
Well, yeah, and I know I've told this story before. There's a Home Depot in Fresno, Texas that has 10 or 12 Tesla and Tesla charging stations are real easy to see. They have these white and with red banding,
And they say Tesla.
and they say Tesla on them. That's where you go pull up. Well, the funny thing is, behind all of these is a little cement brick building, and inside that cement brick building is a diesel generator that creates the energy, the electricity.
Oh,
to
so it's
charge
not hooked up to
cars.
the grid.
No.
It's not hooked up to the grid. Now, the one in Beaumont's hooked up to the grid. The other one up by the Vintage, that's hooked up to the grid as well. So they just built 12 more ports up there by the Vintage.
Well,
So Tesla is expanding its footprint of charging stations everywhere, and that's why everybody wants to jump on it. They don't want to spend the money themselves to build it, but they're more than happy to.
Well, the technology, the
ride
engineering, all the R&D.
Yeah, they're happy to ride that pony.
from the wiring to the sheet metal to the software, automakers that plan to adopt Tesla's plug for their own EVs have bigger design and engineering challenges than just changing the receptacle in the charge port.
Speaking of receptacles, you have one right there on
There
your
you
table,
go.
Don.
I do.
Uh-huh.
I'll tell you about that in a minute. So far, General Motors, Ford, Rivian, Volvo, and others have committed to adopting Tesla's North American charging standard plugs. Stellantis and Hyundai have said they are considering making the same move. The NACS plug receptacles are scheduled to start appearing on non-Tesla EVs in 2025. While Tesla's smaller NACS receptacle easily fits behind the charge port doors on other brands' vehicles, engineers have some work to do, and onboard software enabling non-Tesla vehicles to communicate with Tesla chargers has to be created, tested, validated, and integrated. So it's not
and paid for,
and paid for. Yeah.
because Elon's not going to do any of that for them for free.
No, he developed it. He spent his coin
right.
developing the whole thing. It's so funny the similarities between VHS and Betamax. And I know that we're all old enough to remember this. We probably have some viewers, listeners on our show that aren't. But back in the day when VHS became a thing and everybody had to have a VHS or Betamax.
And
a
Betamax, my opinion, was better.
It was. The technology was better, except VHS was cheaper, and everybody went with VHS. Betamax is still around, well, for technical purposes, I guess it is, because who uses tape anymore? Now it's all computer chip
Digitalized,
stuff.
yeah.
But I thought the
I wonder
similar.
if there's any Blockbusters still open.
There is
Yeah,
one.
there is, yeah. Yeah. Was it in Seattle or
I
something?
think it's in Seattle. Yeah, one Blockbuster.
Yep.
That was the thing.
I wonder
man.
if they still have my account open for one I didn't return. I probably owe them
But there was a
couple of
competitor
$1,000.
back in the heyday of it. What was the name of the competitor to Blockbuster?
It was next door to Los Tios. Remember that?
Yes.
That was a video store there.
Yes, it was, and they had a porn section that had the swinging. If you wanted to go back there, you had to go through the swinging doors, and there were the porn tapes.
See,
Not that I ever did that, because it
But
said,
he realizes it was swinging
Swinging
doors, and he
doors,
gives the direction
swinging
of the
doors.
swing. Yeah.
well, it said adults only. You open the door, and
Sure,
there's nothing but
Don.
tapes all over the wall.
And where was it? The
Right next-
swing indoor.
and right next to Los Tios too.
Yep.
How handy.
And then that closed, and they took the
Handy.
wall down, expanded the restaurant. Oh yeah,
That's right.
Those were the
So
days.
I would imagine there's a certain table inside the restaurant now that you could sit in.
In the porn
It was
section.
in the porn section of the video store.
You go. All right. Well, you're walking back to the restaurant. They got the separate room. That's not it.
That's not it.
The furthest corner where we
Yes.
sat before, and the furthest. That's where it's.
We
at.
rarely sit back there, actually.
They don't allow us back there.
No,
Isn't
they
that
don't.
where you met Leslie?
No.
No, it's
In Los Tios.
yes, it is. Los Tios. Not met her. No, I
Well,
saw
were
her.
you reconnected?
Reconnected, yeah.
Reconnected.
Are you with us? Wait a minute. It's a rare.
Dun, dun, dun.
Here's
Oh,
Mr.
look
Mars.
at Buzz.
Well, I know.
Doesn't he look sharp?
But he's not up
He's
there.
not on there.
I know. That's my next question. Can you talk to Buzz? Buzz can hear us.
Buzz, are you there?
Look at you. And
Yes, I'm here.
Oh, my
wow.
God, he's
Well, we
there.
can talk with
halfway
you.
there.
all right.
We don't have video, but we've got audio, Buzz. So
Oh, okay.
He's
we
looking
speculated earlier before the show what you were going to be wearing since it's 4th of July weekend. We've all said that it's got to be the red sequin jacket, and I said that you at least have to have a stovepipe hat or some top hat that's sequined as well.
No,
Is that what you're wearing?
No, actually, I've got a Hawaiian shirt on. The background is the beach scene, and I've got a straw hat on. This is about heat and how it affects EVs, right? So I thought I'd dress the part.
We're all doing heat episodes
Well,
today.
we sure appreciate you being with it. The funny thing about it is we can see you on Mars computer, but for whatever reason, we can't get it on the air. So just know that we really appreciate your appearance and the Hawaiian background, the hat, the whole 9 yards. I'm wearing my Dumb and Dumber shirt,
Uh-oh.
which is fitting, I think.
Audio
don't
just
you?
locked up, guys.
My
Can you
audio-
hear me?
Yeah, we can hear
Yeah,
you.
Mars is moving a wire.
Mars is moving wires.
You know, when everything works, let's move something.
Yeah, exactly. Can you hear us now?
Absolutely.
All right, don't touch
I ain't
anything.
touching nothing else till
So-
we go
so
to a commercial
talk-
break. Then
talk-
I'll do it.
Talk to us about how does heat affect EVs?
It doesn't.
Well, thank you so much
Thanks
for
for
that.
playing.
Yeah.
Okay, well,
Yeah,
that's
all
the
that
end of
work.
that
Okay, all right,
segment. Let's
moving on.
move on now.
All right, we're gonna
I'm
do the
sure we
Kia
got a car
Seltos,
review or
yeah.
something. Yeah.
No, actually, I've got a lot of good data for your listeners on EVs and heat today. So let's jump right into it.
Please go right ahead.
Okay, so hot temperatures are hard on electric vehicles, which can shorten their driving range permanently. EVs have systems to prevent this, however, and you can help your EV as well. Some of these systems are the same as they are on traditional internal combustion engine or ICE vehicles like water pumps, radiators, and fans. It's surprising for most new EV drivers to hear their vehicle make sounds even when it's turned off. That's because the EV is protecting its battery pack. It monitors the battery and ambient temperature 24 hours a day, whether the car is turned on or off. If it gets too hot, it may turn on fans and or a water pump to cool the battery. If it gets too cold, it may warm the battery using an electric heater. Now, unlike a traditional ICE or internal combustion engine vehicle, the engine or motor does not need to be running to run the water pump, fan, or heater because they're not mechanically attached to a crankshaft because they're electric and EVs don't have crankshafts.
Do those systems
Now, that's
work?
where-
Do those systems work off of a 12-volt battery, or do they work off the battery of the EV, the big battery?
It's probably the big battery pack. In fact, I'm 99% sure that in most EVs it's the battery pack, but I can't say that's true on every EV out there.
Yep.
Now, you have the ability to plug your EV in at home, or if you have that ability, plug it in anytime it's parked. Electric fans and water pumps use electricity. Duh. The EV uses the electricity to move down the road. So if your EV isn't plugged in, where's it going to get that electricity? Well, it'll be from the battery pack. In other words, you will lose a little driving range, and if that's needed to keep the battery within its recommended temperature range. Now, it's not much. Mine uses about a half a kilowatt to a kilowatt to run the AC to keep me cool. Now, on a modern EV with a 60 kilowatt battery pack, that would keep the AC running for over 100 hours and still leave at least 40 miles of range to get to work. So plugging in your EV does not necessarily mean charging. Many EVs and many EV home chargers have the ability to delay the start of charging. And there are several ways that helps. One, charge when it's cooler. Now, that doesn't mean wait until autumn. It means cool down at night. The heat experienced by the battery is a combination of heat charging from and the temperature around the EV. Set your charging session to start around midnight or a little later. If your EV charger has a delay function, you don't have to do anything but set it and forget it. Many EVs and chargers have Wi-Fi capabilities and apps for your smartphone to set this up as well. An added benefit is that although EV charging increases grid electricity demand, again, duh, we can help our electric grid by not charging at the same time our home AC units are running full blast. And if you have free nights and weekends from your electric company, the electricity used to charge your EV is free.
Until everybody turns their charger on at midnight, and then everybody browns out because 5,000 people on your
Thank
section
you
of the
very
grid.
much. We got to have a poo-poo
Actually,
here.
the interesting thing is I've attended a bunch of electric utility meetings, and they tell me at night they have got huge surpluses of wind energy that they can't sell. They're letting it go to ground. Basically, they're turning the fans neutral so they won't spin because they got nobody to sell the electricity to. EVs, this is why they're not really going to impact the grid like everybody's afraid of, is we're going to use electricity in the off hours when there's plenty available. Now, one other thing, if you have an e-bike or a scooter, one of those skateboards or you have battery-powered lawn care equipment, take those batteries inside your home to recharge in the air conditioning. They don't have fans or coolants. Also, don't leave them unattended while charging. Number 2, charge at a slower rate. Charging the battery heats it up. The faster you charge, the hotter it gets. If you can charge at home, you won't be using DC fast charging, which is very fast. In fact, DC fast charging is great for long distance trips or once a week fill-ups, but it's better for your EV if you don't use it all the time. DC fast chargers also have different charge speeds. So unless you're in dire need of speed, like on a cross-country trip, use a 50 kilowatt DC fast charger instead of a 350 kilowatt charger to reduce battery stress. There are charging apps for your smartphone that will help you locate chargers, and it'll tell you what rate they charge the car at. 3, because the miles gained per hour of charging is significantly lower with level 2 240 volt charging, and it is much less stressful, and there are lots of level 2 public chargers, many of them free. Level 1 110 volt is even more gentle on your battery. Now, if your daily commute is less than 40 miles, try using the level 1 charger that came with your EV, just plugged into a 110 outlet when it's really hot. Who cares how long it takes if you're asleep while it charges? 4, this sounds obvious, but part of being cooler is being in the shade. If you charge under a carport, in a garage, or under a shade tree, you've reduced the temperature around your car, and it helps. Number 5, just like an ICE vehicle, check your coolant reservoirs regularly. Most EVs, one notable exception being the Nissan Leaf, have radiators. If a radiator runs out of water in an ICE vehicle, you can burn up the engine, requiring an expensive replacement. In an EV, to protect its battery, it will just turn off if it gets too hot, but it will warn you in advance. 6.
And if I can interrupt for a moment,
Yes.
It's not just go to AutoZone and buy antifreeze that fits anything. You have to use a very specific antifreeze in an EV system that's non-conductive, because there's all these free electrons floating around, and you don't want that to transfer someplace you don't want it to in an EV. So I know that that's one of the components of EV, is it takes a very specific coolant.
Yeah, and actually this next point addresses that. So 6, change the battery coolant per the maintenance schedule for your EV. Now, General Motors EVs recommend coolant changes every 150,000 miles. Let the dealer do this for you. If you get air bubbles in the coolant, the reservoir could look full, but as you're driving, those bubbles will burst, reducing the coolant level, and that could result in the shutdown that I mentioned just a second ago.
Tiny bubbles.
Yeah, exactly. So let them do it. It's not expensive. It's an easy way to go. Number 7, and this is huge, precondition the battery before you drive. Now, many of us got used to remotely starting our regular cars in very hot or very cold weather to make the cabin comfy for us. This capability exists for EVs as well, but if you precondition the cabin, it also preconditions the battery pack, warming it or cooling it to get the very best mileage per kilowatt hour. Now, it only takes 10 minutes to do this, and many EVs have a button on the key fob or a smartphone app that makes it super easy. Some, like mine, also have a key fob button to roll down all the windows simultaneously. When I precondition during the summer in Texas, I know it's still maybe warmer in that cabin than I'd like, even after preconditioning. So before I get in the car, I'll press that button, lower all the windows, vent any hot air that's remaining in the cabin. Finally, one tip that is both for EV and ICE drivers. Temperatures inside vehicle cabins quickly get to life-threatening levels in Texas heat. In response to this, many vehicles today have a backseat passenger warning system. My Volt has this. When enabled, If a back door of the car is open within a few minutes before starting the car, it thinks a child or a pet is in the back seat. When the car is turned off, a chime sounds and the warning "check back seat" appears on the dash. Please check your owner's manual for this feature and turn it on. We can all make a mistake with horrific consequences. We're only human. Once, while driving to work, my infant daughter suddenly spoke up from the back seat, and it surprised the heck out of me. Although I was taking her to daycare as well, I had forgotten she was back there. It could happen to anyone, so please do everything you can to prevent that. Well, that's what I got for you today, guys.
Well,
Good information.
Great information. Truly loved it. By the way, can you see us?
Yes.
You can see us. So I am driving a Kia EV6 that I just got on Thursday.
Oh,
okay?
my God.
Are you jealous?
That's a sweet, sweet car.
Yeah, I know. I knew that you would be all over that. Well, there's no power cord. But what there is this thing. Okay? There's the plug that goes in the car, right?
Oh, that's a Vita-L, vehicle to load connector.
Yeah, well,
So you've got a 110 outlet on one end, right?
Well, yeah, except it's got a male plug connector inside of it. Oh, I don't have a male to male to fit into the house. All I've got is male female extension cords. So I have no cord.
But what is cool about that, and this is supported by the EV6, they probably just forgot to give you the charger. I haven't really seen what a normal charger for them looks like. But the Vita-L, or vehicle to load connector, allows you to plug this thing into the J1772 port, and it feeds AC electricity through the 110 outlet on the back side to, say, a freezer.
so that's for outbound power, Don.
Yeah, so
that's
this
not
is-
for inbound power.
So this is for outbound power.
correct.
Well, not being able to see it up close, I'm not sure, but
Yeah,
Oh, my God.
that was my thought when he showed it to me, is that it was designed for, once the car's charged, for outbound power.
yeah,
Well-
that's the that plugs into the car that you just opened.
Well,
the
then
cap.
that makes tons of sense. Now I know why there's a male connector inside this thing. Mm-hmm. So
Yeah, the female, is that just a 110 outlet connector or a
Yes.
240?
Yeah, no, it's a
110.
110.
Okay, yeah, that's the vehicle. I've never seen one in person. That's really cool.
Well, there you go. Now you have. Yeah, it is, actually, if that's what it's for. I thought, well, how the hell am I supposed to charge it with two males on it? But whatever. Anyway, so that's good to know. Thank you very much. You've helped us out already on that deal.
I think the Supreme Court actually allows you to have two male connectors charging.
Not in the state of Texas. You got to go to California.
No,
for
not
that.
in the state of Texas.
Oh, my God. I knew we were going to go off the rails at some point, and there it is. Buzz, it's great to talk to you, my friend. And we're sorry. We apologize for the problems that we've got with our video stuff this morning, but Mars has been plowing through it for the past hour and a half.
But we could tell everybody you look real spiffy in your Hawaiian shirt in the background.
Don't just tell them there's visual aids. Have Mike take a screenshot of me right now and put that on your video.
Or how
No,
about
no,
how,
let's not get him to do anything,
Yeah.
because everything will crash when he does.
how about your Facebook page?
You got it.
Okay.
It is
Yeah.
Buzz Smith, the evangelist on Facebook.
Very good. Buzz, great to talk to you, my friend. Thanks so much for
Thank
all
you
that
very,
great
very much.
information. We appreciate it.
You bet. Have a good one,
You
guys.
too. All right. Mr. Mars, I know that you haven't been doing anything over there, so it's time for you to actually do something. Well, apparently it's not going to happen
One more
now.
thing to
Plug
connect.
something
There
else
you
in.
go.
Conrad,
See
in the
if that
meantime, why
works.
don't you do the events calendar? How's that? You do that?
Sure. Well, big event tomorrow is Coffee and Chrome out at the Avalon Diner, basically at Highway 90 and 5969 or Southwest Freeway.
And let me interrupt
or whatever
that.
they want to
And
call
let me
it
interrupt
today.
that. So my plan is to take Leslie's brand new Archer Volkswagen Tiguan.
Hallelujah, she got rid of the Jag. Oh my gosh. That's the smartest thing
Dun,
she could have
dun,
done, is get rid of that
dun.
Jag before it cost her even more money. What a POS.
You have no
Absolute
idea what a
POS.
relief it is to have that out of my life.
Yep.
And I know hers too.
That
And she's
Jaguar
thrilled.
was worse than a boat about pouring money into a
Oh my
hole.
God, you have no clue. You have absolutely no clue. And I guess that the real tip-off came when I bought the in-cabin air filter.
And I was ready to help you this weekend.
Yeah, and guess what? You have to take out half the dash to change the in-cabin air
There's two
filter.
filters, aren't there?
It takes two of y'all to change the air filter.
In-cabin air
One
filter.
to hold the filter and the other to spin the ladder.
Okay. Anyway, go ahead with the events calendar, please.
So, and then tonight is Brookshire Brothers Cruising in Montgomery, Texas. Starts at 5 p.m. At the Brookshire Brothers in Montgomery. The Wharton Cruise Night is tonight. Starts at 6 p.m. at Domino's Pizza off of Bowling Highway. In
Boiling
Wharton.
Highway.
Yeah,
That's good.
Boling.
hot.
Bowling Highway. Also, the Cruise In East Montgomery. It's an open cruise-in event at 943 Eva Street. So lots of stuff going on in Montgomery. Saturday at the ranch at the Harley Davidson in College Station starts at 11 a.m. to 3 p.m. today.
At the Harley
At
Davidson.
the Harley Davidson place. It's a open cruise-in for free.
Okay.
And then tomorrow is the Woodlands Coffee and Cars for a Cause at Six Pines Drive, one of Randy Weldon's events that he supports a lot. And all the money raised is given to local Montgomery County charities. Coffee and tuners at Tom and Tom's Coffee Gallery.
Coffee and tunas.
Tuners.
Oh, tuners, not tunas.
That go well together. Coffee and tuna.
Oh, boy.
A nice little tuna sandwich. I could go for that.
Coffee and tuna.
It's fish with a buzz. Anyhow, that's at 5353 West Alabama. Coffee and Cars and Coffee and Aggieland Outfitters, East University Drive and College Station, and then Coffee and Cars at Nose Cafe.
Are you not be able? Can you not read that
Yeah, I
well?
can read it.
There's a lot of stumbling going
really
on
tiny
there.
print.
Is that what it is? Is
think
it
so.
tiny print?
Back to you, Don.
Okay. Well, I'm sorry. I mean,
All
I'm
else
not
fails,
trying
throw it
to.
back
Yeah,
to you.
I just want to know. I didn't know.
Yeah, I need to increase my font size because my glasses are as
It
strong
helps
as I
me.
can get.
It helps me when you do that.
Yeah. So anyway,
Makes you sound smarter.
a shout out to the general manager and the staff at Archer Volkswagen
Yay.
on the Southwest Freeway. Thank you very much for a wonderful experience down there with Leslie's brand new
Tiggy.
Tiguan.
Thank you for taking our money.
Listen,
Well, thank you for taking her Jaguar.
Yeah.
thank you and thank God. That's all I can
What
say.
a relief.
What a relief it is. Mhm.
And hopefully you sell a contract on it when you sell it to whoever you sell it to because they're going to need it.
They're going to sell it, not
Yeah,
me.
no, that's what I meant. Yeah.
Yeah.
Where if they're going to sell it off their used car
Well,
lot,
there goes
they
all
need to
those
sell a
accolades we
contract
just
on
gave
it.
them.
No, not. It has nothing to do with the dealership. It has everything to do with the
Yeah,
Jaguar,
the car.
the F-Pace. Don't buy one today
Yeah, or tomorrow.
or tomorrow. There's that. All right. Want to remind you that the In Wheel Time Car Talk Show is available 24/7 through the iHeartRadio app. Just look for In Wheel Time Car Talk. We also video stream on Facebook, YouTube, and InWheelTime.com. 30-minute podcast at your fingertips on over a dozen of the most popular podcast outlets out there. Hey, the In Wheel Time Car Talk Show continues right after this quick break. Everyone at the Tailpipes and Tacos Cruise In at the Lupi Tortilla Tex-Mex in Katy, thank you for participating in the best cruise in around and look forward to seeing you again. You'll hear about the next cruise in date right here on In Wheel Time. Next time you're in the West Houston Energy Corridor area, be sure and stop in at the original Lupi Tortilla Tex-Mex at I-10 and Highway 6 or the Katy location on the Grand Parkway at Kingsland Boulevard. When passing through Beaumont or College Station, stop in and have Lupi's award-winning beef fajitas and frozen margaritas. There's always a celebration at Lupi Tortilla. Lupi Tortilla founder Stan Holt and his wife Sheila are winning racers on the NHRA drag racing circuit and have a collection of hot rods and classics that everyone appreciates. Look for them at the next Tailpipes and Tacos Cruise In. The date will be announced soon and will once again be held at the Lupi Tortilla Tex-Mex on 99 and Kingsland Boulevard, just south of I-10 and Katy. We'll give you all the details right here on the In Wheel Time Car Talk Show and online. Donations benefit God's Garage. We'll see you then. You own a car you love. Well, why not let Gulf Coast Auto Shield protect it? Houstonian John Gray invites you to his state-of-the-art facility to introduce you to his specialist team of auto enthusiasts. We promise you'll be impressed. Whether you're looking to massage your original paint to a like-new appearance, apply a ceramic coating, install a paint protection film, nano-ceramic window tint, or new windshield protection called ExoShield, Gulf Coast Auto Shield is where Houston's car people go. Curbed your wheels? Instead of buying new, why not have them repaired? How about a professionally installed radar detector? Gulf Coast Auto Shield does that too. Get a peek inside the shop and look at the services offered by getting online and heading to gcautoshield.com. Better yet, stop by their facility at 11275 South Sam Houston Tollway, just south of the Southwest Freeway, and get a personal tour. Gulf Coast Auto Shield is your place to go for all things exterior. Call them today, 832-930-5655 or gcautoshield.com. The award-winning In Real Time Car Talk Show is available on the most popular podcast channels out there in 30-minute episodes. We realize our 3-hour live show can be difficult to catch in its entirety, so now you can listen every day to a convenient, fresh 30-minute episode. Check us out on Apple Podcasts, Spotify, Google Podcasts, Amazon Music, and Audible, along with a dozen more. In Real Time has the most informative automotive guest interviews and new car reviews, along with popular features including Conrad's Car Clinic and This Week in Auto History, along with automotive news headlines. Our live broadcast airs every Saturday, 8 to 11 Central on InRealTime.com, the iHeart app, and on YouTube. Be sure to say hello when we're broadcasting from the Tailpipes and Tacos Cruise Inn, Autorama, and the Houston Auto Show, among others. Now, it's easier than ever to hear about all things automotive all week long. You're invited to join fellow car enthusiasts in becoming part of the ever-growing In Real Time Car Talk family. Don't forget those 30-minute podcast episodes on your favorite podcast channel. It's the In Real Time Car Talk Show. Coming up, Gary and Larry Rollo, we hope, about gassers and Texas Nostalgia Modified production. Later, we'll look at the stories making headlines this week. Howdy, along with Mike Out of This World, Mars, King Conrad DeLong. We need more, Jeff Zekin. I'm Don Armstrong. Glad you could join us today. We've had all sorts of technical issues.
Oh, yeah.
Computer issues. Mars has been through 3 laptops over there. The problem is we've gone to the used car. Actually, we've gone to the salvage yard for laptops. And there they all are.
No, we went to Jaguar to get our laptops.
Perfect, yes.
And they all have Lucas wiring, electrics.
Oh, God. What? Anyway, that car is gone, I'm glad to say. Forever and ever.
Thank you.
Never again.
I've been pushing you about getting rid of that turd for a while.
Well, and it was it was you, thank you, for telling me about the unbelievable
cost of replacing an engine.
Yeah, $26,000. Mm-hmm. The car is not worth that much.
No.
That would have been a salvage.
Yes.
Yeah, and then you get that check engine light on after that.
No, there's no check.
After the engine replacement.
After the salvage thing, there is none of that. So do we dare go to Gary and Larry? I don't know.
Yep, let's try. They look like they're...
Gentlemen, are you there?
We're here.
Okay, well, all I'm seeing is the top of your heads and a lot of ceiling there. I don't know what the deal. Can you lower it? There
much
you
better,
go.
much
There,
better.
much better.
Y'all gonna have to speak up because we just barely hear y'all.
Well, I don't know what the problem is. We hear you just fine. You need to turn up turn up that hearing aid. Maybe that'll help.
There you go.
Well, I don't even know if that'll help. It's just on our end. We're pretty sure.
Yeah. It wouldn't have anything to be going deaf after hanging around all these drag cars for so long.
No, it had got nothing to do with that. Anyway.
No.
I don't really know what the issue is. Did that help you at all? Can you hear us better now?
Better.
Okay, well, good. I turned up your
You
volume.
young kids don't have problems like us old geezers do.
Yeah, right. Well, let's not even go about age stuff here.
I like that word, geezer.
I resemble that remark.
I have hair, but it's all white. So if that gives you any idea,
I have it, and it's all growing out of my ears.
and
Pretty good
nose.
chance we got all of y'all beat.
No doubt. So who's in the black shirt and who's in the blue shirt?
Gary's in the black.
No, Gary's in the.
I'm in this shirt. He's in the gray shirt.
Yeah.
Okay, well, you in the black shirt, you need to move in closer to him because we only have about half of your face and half of
I
your
don't
body.
like him that much.
Well, I know, but the camera there
we go.
See, we like to see the people that we're talking. We spent millions of dollars in this video setup here, and by golly, we're going to use it.
So whose Chevy 2 is in the background?
This would be mine, Larry.
Beautiful car.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So tell us.
Say again.
So for all the people that are not familiar with Texas Nostalgia Modified production, explain to everybody what that is.
Okay, what it is it's for cars that are 30 years old or older, and it has to be a clutch car basically no electronics. The driver has to do everything himself during the race. You can't have an automatic shifter, none of that stuff. So it's kind of old school is what it's moved back to.
So we're going to change the name to Texas Old School Nostalgia Modified Production. Well, the other thing is that for those that don't know, obviously these are drag racers, and we're talking about mainly gassers, are we not?
No, it's a combination of cars. You can have, anything from street roadsters to door cars is what it is. The gassers more like that. Back in the old days, they did run the gas class, but it's not the same as the gassers that are running in the different categories now.
Yeah, Danny Kellum says, "Save the stick" from the Rollo Brothers.
Said what?
Save the stick.
He better watch out. We might say something about him.
Well, yeah, but that's the purpose of the class of drag racing you guys do. It's all about, it's in the driver's hands. It's none of this, like we see on TV, release the button and let the automatic do all the work. You guys have to row the gears. And if I remember correctly, it's 4 speeds only. You don't even allow a 5-speed transmission. Is that correct?
You can run a 5-speed. You can run a Lenco. Anything that's manually shifted and uses a clutch.
Okay.
So it's okay to just use the clutch getting off from the line, and then from there you just leave the clutch out and just shift the gears.
That's correct. You can run a clutch-style transmission. This Nova has a clutch assist 5-speed in it. The Monza that Gary drives has a Lenco in it.
Which is the transmission of choice amongst all of you?
I was thinking that too.
I don't know that there is one.
We run the Lenco in the Monza because that's where we had it in the car back in the 80s, in the early 80s. So that's why we got that in. We built the car exactly the way we had it when we owned the car back in the late 70s, early 80s.
Got you. And what kind of times are you running in that car?
The Monza runs 920s, about 145 to 150. The Chevy 2 runs 1050s. Actually, it's going to be faster because the more passes Larry gets in it, the quicker he's going to get. But right now it's running 1050s, about 125.
And then you have a calculation of cubic inch to weight. Is that correct?
It's really not that. They ask that question, but it's not cubic inch to weight. It's basically just the small rules we have, and just bring it out and let's race is what it is.
And I understand, speaking of races, you got a big event next weekend?
We have a race at XRP this weekend for the Texas Nostalgia Modified Production.
This weekend?
This weekend.
This coming, not this week, this coming weekend.
After 4th. Okay. On the 8th, correct?
Yes, that's correct.
Okay, yeah. I was going to say this weekend is here, and okay, and you're sitting in your garage? I don't think so.
What?
Yeah, I don't guess they got that. But at any rate,
You're starting to fade a little bit. You need to speak up, please.
Well, I'm doing the best I can, and I can't feed you too much more because otherwise it's going to sound funny on our end. So
I can hear you fine. He's deafer than I am.
Okay, well that's good.
And it seems like whoever's garage you're in seems to be somewhat successful because there's a bunch of trophies on that back wall.
We've won a few over the years.
Yeah. Okay. Is your volume turned up all the way on your computer there so you can hear us?
We can get it.
As high as you can get it. Okay. All right. Very good. All right. Well, so tell me about some of the competitors. Are you all in the same kind of group, Texas Nostalgia Modified Production? You all race each other? How does that work?
We race each other. There's it's a complete different type cars, almost every one of them. And we have early Camaros to early Corvettes, and we have Volkswagens in there. There's Ford in there, and it's just a combination of a lot of different style cars. It's what the person happens to like can go ahead and build it.
Do they usually bring more than one car to an event?
No, I think me and Larry are the only people that have brought two. No, I take it back. They have, yes, at the first event. there were a couple of Corvettes that showed up.
How often do you guys run?
Say it again.
How
How
often?
often we run, the Nostalgia runs 10 races, which is, they space them about 2 weeks to 3 weeks apart. We had a little off time here where they a downtime. The NDRL race 6 races a year, and they race 1 a month.
We actually run 2 categories. One's the Texas Nostalgia Modified Production. The other one is the Nostalgia Modified. I'm sorry, NDR
Nostalgia Drag Racing League.
Yeah, Nostalgia Drag Racing.
And do y'all run all across the country, or y'all focus mainly around the Southwest?
NDRL runs all of pretty much all around the country, Midwest area. We just got back from Bowling Green 2 weeks ago for the hot rod reunion up there, the Wally Parks hot rod reunion, and that was a really big race. It's probably the premier race that we go to.
Well, and the cool thing about that is, as you move around different parts of whether it's Texas or different parts of the country, you get to see different racers as well, because some people aren't going to travel the great distance to race. And, so when they get a race that's local, they may bring something out of the garage that hasn't been at the track for a while. So fun for you to see different people as opposed to the same 8 or 10 cars every time.
That's correct. Yeah, I mean, there was people from California. Actually, Gary's first round was against a guy from California, but they come from all over the country to race that. That's a big deal. Now, the next race for the NDRL is in Norwalk, Ohio, at Summit Motorsports Park, and that'll be a big deal too. It's called, I think they call it the Blue Suede Cruise, and these have drag races, car shows, swap meets. Yeah, I think Bowling Green, somebody said they had over 500 race cars and probably every bit of that many show cars.
Oh, wow.
And then, of course, had a big swap meet there, too. So it's quite an event.
We're hoping the Texas deal, we've been going to Nostalgia, the NDRL deal, for about 3 years now, and we're hoping the Texas deal becomes as big as this one.
Are you guys strictly 8th mile runs?
No. Texas is an 8th mile racing. The NDRL is quarter mile racing.
So with the restrictions and the setups on the vehicles, is it pumped gas that y'all are using?
Yes, pump gas. You can't have any additives in either racing categories. So
just regular octane.
The rules are kind of easy to follow. Most of it's safety. They're strict on the safety rules. But as far as the cars, it's like an index race. In other words, you bring any car you got, any motor you want. It just has to fit the stick shift, clutch car, and then you kind of pick your class out of that. That makes it where you're not spending a ton of money.
So you guys run a staggered Christmas tree to balance it out, get everybody across the line at the same time?
It's a 4/10 Pro Tree, but it's staggered.
Okay. Oh, that's got to be fun. That's got to be a lot of fun, a real challenge.
It's super.
Because for me, it would make me very nervous just trying to sit there and wait for my light to flash when the other guy leaves. How do you hold your senses to not want to go when he goes?
Sometimes you do, sometimes you don't.
Feel like a nut.
Well, how cool. So tell us about the Nova behind you. I'm assuming Chevy too. I say Nova. I think that's too early for Nova.
It's only been to 2 races so far.
And what powertrain does it have?
And it does okay.
It's a 331-inch small block Chevrolet, single carburetor, and it's got a 5-speed G-force transmission in it. He usually leaves he leaves a starting line on a chip, which is about 7,400 RPM, doesn't turn the tires, and shifts right at 74 every gear.
Yikes.
So
screaming.
That's wound up tight.
Yeah.
The Monza's a little bit different. It leaves around 78, and it shifts at 82, in the gears.
How do you keep that thing together?
It's just a well-built motor. Our motor builder program. We've been working on the motor program. we drag race. We quit drag racing in '87, and we started dirt racing. And dirt racing is a lot more abusive on motors than drag racing, I think. Because you're doing two poles every lap. But we just got a good motor builder at Westside Performance, and he does an excellent job. And when we get it from him, when we get the motor from him, we actually have 3 motors, one in each car and then a spare. And we get it from him. It's already been put on the dyno. We've already know what horsepower, torque it's got, and we've run it in. So we've just never had a problem with our motors at the races. And we build them for a high RPM. When I say high RPM, we build them like we used to in modified, where we turn the motor 10,000 plus, and now we're turning them 8,000. So they last a long time.
Will one motor last the whole season?
It would probably last 3 seasons. To be honest with you.
Wow.
Well, how cool is that? Because that kind of manages the expense of racing as well when you're not having to go through a motor season.
When we ran NHRA back in the day and twisted them as tight as we did, I mean, it's every week deal. You took it apart, valve springs, rings, blah, 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 and back in the 70s and 80s, you're going to spend $500 to $1,000 every time you just race.
That was back in the 80s.
Yeah, and so it's just really expensive.
And we're too old.
Yeah, it's a lot of work.
Yeah, it's a lot of work.
So is the motor builder, is he using different materials to give you the longevity than what you were using back in the 80s? Because I realized
we basically built a motor as I guess the easiest way to say is build it like a NASCAR motor, as far as the internals and as far as the block, and then just don't abuse it.
Okay.
This Westside Performance, they build the NASCAR motors for the school up there, Texas Motor Speedway.
Okay.
And so we because they just to last a long time. And so we kind of chased after that a little bit, but it's use good parts and do good work, and they're going to last all right. The good thing about what we do too is if we lose a few hundredths of a second, it's not a big deal to us because we're index racing. Back in the day, if you lost 100th or 200th of a second, you were hurting. So you had to keep up with the motor a lot more than you do now. Now we just want them to last.
Cool. The some of the cars leave wheels up.
Oh yeah, almost all of them do.
Yeah.
I mean, it looks like if you're familiar with the old modified days back in the '80s and like that, and it's kind of like that.
Very cool.
Competition level is extremely high in both categories. The Texas deal, and there's 3 or 4 cars in there that I guess the terminology would be they're killer cars. They're good cars. And NDRL, which is more established in Texas, there's the field's pretty tough. One at Bowling Green we just came back from, the top 14 cars, the number 1 car was 6 thousandths off his index. I was number 2. I was 8 thousandths off my index. The top 14 cars, the 14th car was 500ths off his index. So 14 cars were stacked in there at 500ths.
Wow.
So that makes the competition level fairly tight right there.
And understanding what your car can do and making a competition.
Your job, the car's got to do its job, and you hope the other guy makes a small mistake.
And everybody's single 4-barrel, no multi-carbs?
No, the Chevy 2's got a single 4-barrel. We actually, the Monza has a tunnel ram on it, the old school tunnel ram. And when we rebuilt the car, we got the car back in 2019. We rebuilt it. We wanted to build it back exactly the way it was when we sold it in '87. And that's what it had in it, a Lenco with a tunnel ram and a small block. So, and we did the same thing. And there are a few other cars out there that we run against that have tunnel rams. Matt Thomas in the Texas Nostalgia Modified Production runs a small block, and he has a very small motor. in it with a tunnel ram. He twists that thing pretty tight, but excellent driver. But there's another one. I think there's a couple in the RL that have a tunnel ram, but it's easier to tune a single 4-barrel than it is a tunnel ram.
Oh yeah.
That's why a lot of people just run single 4-barrels.
Well, gentlemen, sure is a pleasure to talk to you again, and thank you very much for joining us today. And I wish you the best of luck next weekend up there in Ferris, Texas at Extreme Racing, and we hope to be in touch with you again soon.
All right. I hope we didn't embarrass nobody.
Yeah.
No, we'll handle that on our own.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah, we apologize for the Bowling Green deal. We just couldn't get a connection out of there.
Oh, that's good. We understand that.
No, not a problem at all. We take care of yourself and stay cool up there, okay?
All right, y'all have a good day.
Thank you.
Save the stick.
Yeah. All right. Let's see. What did I miss? We missed
features, headlines.
Well, just a moment. Let's just get Mr. Mars.
Yep.
Do you have time now to do? He's raising his hand. Oh, me. Okay.
Yeah,
well,
I gotta load up Michael here.
Go for it, Mars.
So,
No, not so.
Not so, buddy.
A deer, a female. No, that's
for this car review, we are talking about the 2024 Kia Seltos SX all-wheel drive. Now, the Kia Seltos was considered an entry-level SUV back in 2021 when it first hit the market. Comes in 5 different trim levels, starting with the LS and X, the EX, and X line, which is kind of the sporty model, and the SX, which is the top-of-the-line model, which is the one we had. Now, this is a subcompact SUV. Nobody calls them CUVs anymore. Everybody's going back to the SUV concept. And this year, it's got a revised front and rear fascias on it. Gives it a nice, sleeker look. Blends into the headlights. You know, everybody's got the swept-back headlights. And this year, the SX has a unique color called Pluton Blue. $395, well worth it. We got a lot of compliments on that car. Had several people, even the mail lady, stopped and said, "What color is that car? I love it." So it's a really cool looking color.
Lady.
That's right. It has this particular, the SX comes with a black and chromed out grille. We had body color side molding, door handles and side mirrors. LED lighting all the way around, headlamps, fog lamps, DRL 10 lamps, and the third brake light. And I mentioned that because they called it out, and I never thought about it before. I've never seen anybody else talk about their LED lighting package, including that third brake light up there.
Well, what about it?
Well, this one has it.
It's LED.
It's LED, and I've never seen anybody else say that theirs was LED. Is the reason I mentioned it.
Oh, okay.
Normally, they just say headlights, brake lights, tail lights, those kind of things. This thing also, it had the acoustic glass on the front windshield, which a lot of people do, but it also had it on the side glass of the rear doors. And I don't know why. It was just, I couldn't find a good reason for that. But it did make that car very quiet. In fact, it's much quieter than the vehicle I'm currently driving, surprisingly. It's got power side mirrors, it's got power lift gate, rolling on some 18-inch black alloy wheels that's part of the SX trim level. Now, you get into the inside of it, and again, it's got LED lighting on all the inside lights, and it has the Syntex seating surfaces. That's that man-made surface that it's kind of a cross between leather and cloth. It's very comfortable, very nice. Pleather would be a good way to put it. It's got heated front seats. The rear seat is a 60/40 folding seat. There is no third row in this one, fortunately. They kept to it. It's really big on small storage areas and the door panels, the consoles, all behind the seats, every place. There's really nice setup as far as the small storage area goes. Has the 10.25-inch driver that they call a supervision cluster. We used to call it the gauge cluster.
What kind of a cluster?
A supervision
I know some
cluster.
clusters, but they ain't got nothing to do with that.
Supervision.
We
This
should
is
call
a
that
supervision
a dashboard.
cluster. And then we also had the optional 10.25-inch center stack info screen where you're going to find all your navigation, your climate controls, all the things that you want to run from there. We also had the dual level cargo floor in the back for the cargo, and it came with the Bose 8-speaker audio system, but it has an additional tweeter package. So if you like the highs and the mids and the thing, it really...
So how did Jimmy Buffett sound?
It sounded really good. He didn't sound so good, but the girls in the background sounded a whole lot better. It has front and rear USB ports, wireless charger that is on a shelf right underneath the radio. If you can see the screen right there, you can see right up underneath there. It's up under there. You slide the phone in there. There's a light that comes on. I really like that layout. It was just very convenient. Now, to make all this stuff go down the road, you got a 1.6 liter turbo under the hood. There's only 2 trim levels. You can get the 1.6 liter turbo. It's got 20 more horsepower than it had last year, so it's got 195 horsepower, 195 pound-feet of torque that starts coming in around 1,600 RPM. Now, the turbo you can get, it comes with an 8-speed automatic behind it instead of the CVT that you would normally get.
Oh, that's
with front-wheel
better.
drive.
Yeah.
Now, the EPA says you should be getting around 25 on the city, highway 27, combined 26. Now, this is an all-wheel drive model. I did drive it over here last week and back.
And you got 12 miles per gallon.
No, but I will tell you, it only has a 13-gallon tank. That means that little round trip, by the time I get home, I've got a low fuel indicator coming on, and which surprised me that just round tripping it over here. So I got 23.3 miles per gallon over the 367 miles I drove it. But again, small
What was
tank.
your average speed in that 13 gallons? Was it 95 miles an hour?
No. I was running a little late last week, and I will say I was in a hurry.
You bumped it up, didn't you?
I did.
Uh-huh.
More than normal, so that probably had something to do with it.
Because you do the math, and it should make it back here and there fine. But no.
Should make it back and forth with about 50 miles to spare. I only ended up with like 25 to spare by the time I got there. But I got here on time.
Yeah, and what did that get you? Trouble.
Heartache. Apparently today. So it does have 3 drive modes, normal, sport, and eco.
And you notice the difference between the 3?
The sport, a little bit, whenever you went into that, but that was the only one.
Because it knocks off the overdrive.
Yeah. Now, I will say that whenever you're going to accelerate at a rapid pace real fast in a hurry, that at a low speed, it doesn't really feel like turbo lag, but it's slow to get wound up and going. But once it does,
It's called turbo lag.
well, I know, but it's so
Lag.
gradual. It doesn't feel
More of
to
a
me like a normal.
And what mode did you have it in when you were doing this test?
Just in the normal drive mode. But it was very easy to drive, and it was almost like it had oversteer as far as like the steering goes, and quieter than the vehicle I'm driving right now. So base trim price, base model price for the Kia Seltos, $24,390. The base trim price is $29,990. I did not have an MSRP to get a full price on it, but based on what I could find, that was pretty well loaded up, and it'd be really close to that plus destination. Comparable, Volkswagen Taos, $24,155 to start in the base. Chevy Trailblazer, $23,100 to start at the base. And a Mazda CX-30 for a 2023, I could not find a 24 pricing on it, is at $22,950. And that is my quick review of the 2024 Kia Seltos all-wheel
Wasn't
drive.
that quick?
Back to you.
But speaking of quick, we're going to take a quick break right now here on the In Wheel Time Car Talk Show. We'll be back on iHeartRadio after these messages. Everyone at the Tailpipes and Tacos Cruise In at the Lupi Tortilla Tex-Mex in Katy, thank you for participating in the best cruise in around and look forward to seeing you again. You'll hear about the next cruise in date right here on In Wheel Time. Next time you're in the West Houston Energy Corridor area, be sure and stop in at the original Lupi Tortilla Tex-Mex at I-10 and Highway 6 or the Katy location on the Grand Parkway at Kingsland Boulevard. When passing through Beaumont or College Station, stop in and have Lupi's award-winning beef fajitas and frozen margaritas. There's always a celebration at Lupi Tortilla. Lupi Tortilla founder Stan Holt and his wife Sheila are winning racers on the NHRA drag racing circuit and have a collection of hot rods and classics that everyone appreciates. Look for them at the next Do we Tailpipes have- and Tacos Cruising. Hello. The date will We be have announced it soon and somewhere. will once again be held at the Lupi Tortilla Tex-Mex on 99 and Kingsland Boulevard, just south of I-10 and Katy. We'll give you all the details right here on the In Wheel Time Car Talk Show and online. Donations benefit God's Garage. We'll see you then. You own a car you love. Well, why not let Gulf Coast Auto Shield protect it? Houstonian John Gray invites you to his state-of-the-art facility to introduce you to his specialist team of auto enthusiasts. We promise you'll be impressed. Whether you're looking to massage your original paint to a like-new appearance, apply a ceramic coating, install a paint protection film, nano-ceramic window tint, or new windshield protection called ExoShield, Gulf Coast Auto Shield is where Houston's car people go. Curbed your wheels? Instead of buying new, why not have them repaired? How about a professionally installed radar detector? Gulf Coast Auto Shield does that too. Get a peek inside the shop and look at the services offered by getting online and heading to gcautoshield.com. Better yet, stop by their facility at 11275 South Sam Houston Tollway, just south of the Southwest Freeway, and get a personal tour. Gulf Coast Auto Shield is your place to go for all things exterior. Call them today, 832-930-5655 or gcautoshield.com. The award-winning In Real Time Car Talk Show is available on the most popular podcast channels out there in 30-minute episodes. We realize our 3-hour live show can be difficult to catch in its entirety, so now you can listen every day to a convenient, fresh 30-minute episode. Check us out on Apple Podcasts, Spotify, Google Podcasts, Amazon Music, and Audible, along with a dozen more. In Real Time has the most informative automotive guest interviews and new car reviews, along with popular features including Conrad's Car Clinic and This Week in Auto History, along with automotive news headlines. Our live broadcast airs every Saturday, 8 to 11 Central on InRealTime.com, the iHeart app, and on YouTube. Be sure to say hello when we're broadcasting from the Tailpipes and Tacos Cruise Inn, Autorama, and the Houston Auto Show, among others. Now, it's easier than ever to hear about all things automotive all week long. You're invited to join fellow car enthusiasts in becoming part of the ever-growing In Real Time Car Talk family. Don't forget those 30-minute podcast episodes on your favorite podcast channel. Live on iHeartRadio and the Smoke and Mirrors Network, it's the In Real Time Car Talk Show. Coming up, we're going to try to talk to Eddie Conrad at Conrad Racing Engines in Belleville, Texas. I had a chance to drive the 2024 Mercedes-Benz GLC 300. I'll give you my impression of it. We'll also have the cruise-in calendar, and Conrad has This Week in Auto History. And let's not forget, stories making automotive news headlines this week.
Oh, yeah.
Just ahead on the In Real Time Car Talk Show. Howdy, along with Mike Out of This World Mars, Chief Engineer and Bottle Washer, King Conrad DeLong. We always need more Jeff Zekin. I'm Don Armstrong. Sometimes.
Because nobody else wants to be.
No, and nor should they ever want to be me.
I would today.
Would you?
I would
He
just go
just
for a
doesn't-
ride in a helicopter.
He doesn't want to be Mike Mars today.
You've
that's
never
what-
been in a
Well, yeah,
helicopter?
Never been in a helicopter. I think that'd be fun.
Okay.
Okay.
Wouldn't want to be in one for medical reasons, but
Well, and I wouldn't want to be in one like his. The one I was in
Was air
it
conditioned?
it was air conditioned. There was 3 of us in the back and 2 up front with the pilot, and somebody sitting beside him, leather seating, and it was nice.
What kind of aircraft was it?
It was a big one.
Where were you going?
We were just taking a ride over the top of Texas Motorplex. Not Motorplex. What's the one up in Dallas?
The Texas Motorplex.
Yeah, that one.
the drag race or the roundy
No,
round?
Roundy
Roundy
round.
round.
Texas Motor Speedway.
No, that's Texas Motor Speedway.
Yeah.
Texas Motor Speedway is the roundy round.
Yes.
Did you
that's
pay
what
for that? Did
No,
you pay
we
for
did
that?
not.
Who paid for it?
Mercedes-Benz.
With their CLC.
Free helicopter rides.
That's right.
And their
And
CLC.
if there were 5 of you in there, it was probably I don't know. It could be an L4, but I was going to say it's probably a 407.
Could have been an R22 they packed
No,
in.
it wouldn't be an R22. No, there's none of that. All right. Well, while we wait for Mr. Eddie Conrad to get in touch with us, in the meantime and in between time, I'm going to do some headlines here because I didn't get
you
any
can.
in last hour. So there's always room for news headlines and what's going on. I have some pretty interesting stories. Yes, Ainsley. Shame on you. You called Mars the chief engineer. Well, David, you don't want to be associated with the chief engineer.
If you showed up,
Not today.
David, if you showed up here every week and took the abuse Mars takes, you can be the chief
There you
engineer
go.
again.
He wouldn't have any. There was no abuse because
You're the remote engineer.
David can fix anything when it comes to electronics.
That's who Mars calls.
I know.
That's right. David is the man to
Yes.
call.
So I apologize for calling you the chief engineer, but you don't want to be that today. You're much higher than that. You're
Uh-oh.
Yeah.
David's kind of like tier 2. He's
Much
Oh
higher.
no, he's tier 1. You sir are about
no,
tier
tier
69.
2 is where tier 1 goes for help.
Okay, right. Well, however you want to break it down works for me.
But you're going to Michigan with David in a couple of weeks.
Well, I'm not going with him, but I'm going up there to meet him up there. Yes.
and you have to take a boat to his house.
Yes. from what I understand. I've never been there. It's the Cottage, and it's on, I think, is it Lake Superior or Lake Huron? One of those. It's is it Huron? It's right across the bay from Mackinac Island.
Yeah, which is no cars.
No cars.
No cars.
Right. So I'm looking forward to a week up north, as they say. American Honda Motor Company is recalling nearly 1.2 million vehicles in the U.S. because the backup camera might not display an image at all while in reverse. Now, for me, what I would do is I would put a picture of the Suze and hang it out over the back, so when the rearview camera came on, I'd see a picture of Suze.
There you
But
go.
then you couldn't go backwards because you'd think Suze was back there.
Well,
and
it
don't
gives you
wanna run
attention.
It'll
her
just be a picture of her.
over. Okay.
Well, it's a nice smile on her face. Recall covers 2018 to 2023 Honda Odyssey minivans, the 2019 to 23 Passport midsize crossover, and the 2019 to 22 Pilot because of a faulty media-oriented systems transport communication coaxial cable connector.
Oh, it's one of those.
Who came up? Yeah, it's one of these things.
One of
here.
those.
Well,
Who
Mars
came up with that
is always buying more cables, so maybe it's Mars's fault.
To fix the issue, dealers will install a straightening cover over the vehicle cable connector. Let's
So
just
it doesn't
jump right
crimp.
to it, I guess.
Doesn't crimp.
Dealers will notified on June 16th. Owners will be notified starting July 24th.
Hopefully they have the parts in stock when they notify the owners,
They're not going to do that.
which is not normal.
No,
Still
they would
waiting
never
on a
do
brake
that.
part.
I'm sorry. We're going to have to schedule you for another 3 months out because we don't have the parts and don't plan on getting any. This is a very interesting story, and I think that you could chime in on this. You ready, Conrad? You listening?
Yes, sir.
Holman Automotive Group and FedEx are accused in a lawsuit of conspiring to sell thousands of diesel fleet delivery vehicles with replaced odometers at inflated prices.
Oops.
The plaintiffs, 5 consumers who purchased the vehicles in question and are seeking class action status, say the company's actions have hurt small business owners who have significantly overpaid for delivery vehicles that are past their useful life expectancies. Typically, courier services such as FedEx and United Parcel retire older vehicles. Holman helped FedEx identify and scrap diesel fleet vehicles that had reached the end of their useful lives, around 350,000 miles, according to the lawsuit. However, the lawsuit states FedEx, beginning in or around 2011, pursued another revenue stream by remarketing the fleet vehicles instead of destroying them. Holman is accused mutually agreeing with FedEx to commit odometer fraud as part of the remarketing enterprise. The plaintiff seeks statutory damages under the Federal Odometer Act of at least $10,000 per violation. Yikes. Don't mess with the odometer of a car.
Wouldn't
Or
you
any-
have a-
I guess in the digital world, you can't roll it back, so you just got to replace it.
Well, and then you would
But
have to have
you
documentation.
then you have to have a sticker,
Right.
and it goes on the door jamb that says, this odometer has been replaced in this car. It originally had so many miles on it. When it was replaced,
Right.
the new odometer was 0 or whatever it was.
Well, if
We don't
you're-
need no stinking
if-
stickers.
Yeah, if you understand the programming, you could probably go in and reprogram one to read a different mileage, but that's at a pretty high level. That's generally very secure information.
But all they were missing is just the protocol of having the sticker and going through the notification. If they would have done that, they wouldn't have been sued.
I actually replaced a speedometer that had the odometer in it. This is years and years ago. And that's how I found out how you do that legally. But I will tell you that, I mean, I didn't know anything about rolling back a speedometer. And the only reason that I did it was because the speedometer that I wanted, remember at the time you could only get 85-mile-an-hour speedometers. Well, I wanted to have me one that said 150. So I bought me a speedometer, went to all the trouble of pulling out the instrument cluster and replacing just that portion of it. Looked great, ran great, did great. So
Well,
there.
in today's, like Mars was saying, in today's electronics, I can't pull the dash out of car A and put it in car B and have things work because the integration of the vehicle identification number in all the computers will keep those things from working in different vehicles.
Yeah.
So they had
Well,
to
this
do
is back in the
something more than
mechanical
just, yeah,
days.
but they had to do something more than just replace the speedometer. They had somebody understood how to go in and reconfigure something.
Yikes. I don't want to have no part of stuff like
thieving
that.
dogs.
Yeah, no,
That's
I don't
what they
want
are.
to. Yeah.
Thieving dogs. And Mary Bear is making what?
$29 million a year.
How much is Jim Farley making over at Ford?
24.
Police have found a number of Ford F-150 pickups that were stolen last year from Ford Motor Company.
Make that 25. Go ahead.
That were stolen last year from Ford Motor Company holding lots in Michigan at dealerships and at an auto auction in Arizona. The owners of Casio, C-A-S-C-I-O Motors, a used vehicle store in Scottsdale, told the Detroit Free Press that officers raided the business in December and took 4 trucks. The store paid an average of $65,000 for each of the pickups, which it did not realize were stolen because Ford had not reported them missing.
Uh-oh.
It's now clear how the pickups disappeared in Michigan. Police believe some were unlocked with the keys inside, which is pretty common around dealerships and car manufacturers and that sort of stuff. It appears they were driven to Arizona and given clean titles using blank forms that had been stolen from Georgia in 2007. A report from how do you think of stuff like
I don't
this?
know.
A report from an Arizona Department of Transportation detective said Ford believes it is losing about 7 vehicles a week to theft.
Wow.
Well, think about it. When you have, or at that point in time, they had tens of thousands of vehicles in storage lots. How much money were they spending on security to watch them?
Apparently not enough.
And you look at these dealerships that have thousands of cars in inventory. Cars get stolen at the dealerships as well for any assortment
and
of
there's
reasons.
also, when they unload them from the trucks, the driver backs them off. They pull them in a certain area down the street or side parking lot, leave the keys in them.
Right.
Anybody can walk up to it.
Well, as a matter
I've
of
seen
fact,
that many
let's see,
times.
There was a Dodge dealership that I did business with when helped Amy buy her Dodge Challenger. It was out there off 290, I think it was. Anyway, they had a lot that was packed jammed with cars. They had another lot that was probably 4, 6 blocks, maybe 8 blocks away, fenced off with barbed wire around the top of it, a lot. And it was in an old shopping center that had closed. But this was all, and that lot was jam-packed with cars.
You know,
And that's
think
not
about that.
uncommon back then.
They have to have a way to manage the keys. Some of them do like a key box, so all the salespeople have a kind of like a lockbox your realtor uses.
Yeah.
So they all have a key to get into this
Coca-Cola
lockbox,
key, yeah.
right? And that's how they get the keys in and out. Those are very hard to break into, but they can be broken into as well. But you can't have 1,000 vehicles and all the keys piled in a bucket somewhere.
Yeah.
That's that ain't gonna work.
At least one title company in Phoenix has stopped titling 22 and 23 F-150s after getting burned on a truck it processed in November. Well, if it's happening there, it's probably happening here too.
Yep.
Anyway, I thought that was an interesting story. Automotive news, thank you. I don't know why I didn't edit this, but I will edit it and bring it back to you at another portion of this program before we finish today. The used vehicle market appears poised to strengthen somewhat through the second half of 2023, according to Cox Automotive Chief Economist Jonathan Smoke. How would you like to have that last name?
That'd be cool.
Or how about Joe Smoke?
Joe Smoke.
It's been a tough year for the used vehicle business. The new vehicle market is increasingly focused on more expensive models and luxury share, which has trickled down to impact used vehicle pricing, Smoke said. Interest rate hikes and uncertainty about a U.S. debt default also disrupted sales activity, and the used vehicle market has bled some buyers who can't find certain vehicle models or trims they want. Now the market seems to be on the cusp of improving, though consumer affordability issues and rebounding new vehicle competition have noticeably sapped it of the strength it exhibited just 2 years ago. A scarcity of used vehicles less than 4 years old because of the COVID-19 pandemic induced lack of new vehicle production in 2020 and 2021. Smoke said that downturn spelled trouble for the used vehicle supply because sales into inventory channels that feed the market, leasing volumes and rental and fleet sales, fell dramatically. Modest price decreases are likely to continue in the second half of 2023, according to an updated year-end Cox Automotive estimate. So, with that being said, I would imagine that if you're in the market for a used vehicle, that hang on, that things are going to be better for you, not so much for the used
prices
vehicle.
go up, prices go down. Lots of things impact that.
Yep.
Yeah, and that's that is a
And the used car market's been hot. Prices have been up big time.
It's mainly inventory.
Yeah. Well, lack of inventory. Yeah.
I checked the other day. Granddaughter's wanting cars, but I was looking at the truck, the in-wheel time truck, and I was looking at it. And according to Edmunds, it should really sell now for what I paid for it 3 years ago.
how much? What year is it?
2015.
It's a 2015 Ram 1500.
Yes.
Right.
Got the cat skin leather interior in it.
That
It's the
you
Lone
haven't-
Star edition.
that you haven't
How many
cleaned
cats
since
did
you
it
got
take?
Do what?
How many cats did it take?
Well, when you go to skinning them, they're really hard to hold on to. But they've got it figured out, so cat skin can handle it. It's not my problem. But
So how much
I
is
was
the
surprised.
2015 worth?
well, it says it should sell between 19 and 21. Paid 20 for it.
That's
3
pretty
years
good.
ago.
That's pretty good.
That is good.
But
Yeah.
again, you think about you traded in the F-bomb and got good money on that. The F-bomb. I've been waiting to call it that for so long.
What a great idea!
But
So,
I knew Leslie would get
you
mad
know
at me.
what we could do? We could make us some money. We could have a bunch of F-bomb.
T-shirt.
No, F-bomb stickers that go on there. Take off the F pace and put F-bomb on it.
And
But
then we'll be sued.
you got. But you made. I thought they made a good fair.
B-O-M-B.
Yeah, I think
Same
they
number
made
of letters.
they made a fair price and an overly fair price on what they gave you for trade-in on that. But again, that's driven by exactly what you talked about. The used car market is still riding high in valuation,
And especially on cars that are well taken care of, which by God hers has been.
and it's a unique car.
It is.
There's not a
And
lot of
it's pretty.
Jaguars out
It's
there.
black and it has that cream colored interior.
Yeah.
It's really nice.
Oh, it's a nice looking car.
And what makes it unique is that it's not in the shop.
And that yellow light on the dash.
None of that's on there. We got that. That took us what, $5,000 to get fixed,
Yeah.
all because of a bad ground wire.
Yep.
$5,000.
Bad ground wires are the
You know,
bane of-
and another one, Emmons has got a 2002 Corvette convertible, blue, 32,000 miles or something. It's low miles, and they got a hot deal, 23,000 on that car.
Wow.
That's a good price.
Well, but it depends on where you go look. And who
So
you
that's
talk
what
to.
that's
You
for
gonna
your
buy one?
granddaughter, right?
You going to buy it?
For the
No.
granddaughter?
No.
It's out of my range.
Well, she does not need that car.
Oh no, I was talking about for me.
Really? Are you ready to take on
His
another car
midlife-
payment?
His midlife
No,
crisis.
that's the problem. That's why I haven't got one.
In the meantime,
He is. Becky's not.
While you're spending all that money, why don't you buy a new computer so we can get the damn Zoom calls on the air?
David and I have discussed a path forward for that.
Well, I hope so. Yeah, because that needs to go away.
Well, if
This
David
over
can
here.
fix broke computers, I got a few of them at the house.
Well, but
It looks like we're at Laptop Central here, that we're
Yeah.
selling laptops.
understand.
yeah, but only 3 of them work.
Mine works just fine.
Yeah,
Mine works just fine.
Mine's doing dandy.
All right.
For
So we're
now.
not going to have
Till
Eddie
next
Conrad, and I assume that he probably has watched or listened to the show today and went, hell no.
I was supposed to be
I'm not
on
gonna
there.
be on there.
Somebody's
Well,
here.
I can't find him.
Dwayne Vance also with Hot Wheels.
No, he's here.
Oh, that's Dwayne?
That's
All
Dwayne.
right,
Dwayne's
there's
here a little
Dwayne.
early.
Okay, Dwayne, you just hang on because we got a little bit to
Don't
go.
touch anything, Dwayne.
Don't touch it. Let's do the cruise-in calendar,
Like, what the
shall we,
hell y'all
please?
talking about?
You ready to do that?
Yep.
Okay.
So next Friday is Cruise and Brews. Gosh, this blend of alcohol and cars at the Penny Beer Garden. It starts at 6 p.m.
Well, you're assuming that everybody's going to get all liquored up at this event. Have a beer, and enjoy the camaraderie.
Find a designated driver.
Either
and go
that or
home.
get some non-alcoholic beer.
There you go.
And then also July 8th, next weekend, is the Grace Woodlands in Church on Saturday from 9 a.m. to noon. Come admire the incredible classic muscle and exotic cars. Pretty good little
We don't need a
family event.
commercial, just the dates.
Pretty good
and
little
what it
family
is, yeah.
event. July 15th at 9 a.m., the Texas Road to Revolution cruise, leaving from the Black Bear Diner in Humble, Texas. October 28th.
Are they going to Washington, D.C.?
No, they're
U.S. Capitol building?
no, they're going through the East Texas
Okay.
Piney Woods.
I guess nobody caught that. Nobody understood what I was saying.
missed it.
Yeah, I missed it.
Road to Revolution?
Oh. January 6th. Nope, different thing. Also, October 28th, the Oak Turbo Fest instead of October. Oak Turbo Fest is at the Shriners location in Waco, Texas. I thought that was a pretty creative naming.
Yep.
Back to you, Don.
Thank you, because you're going to run me out of time. Because I only got a
He usually
short period of
does.
time.
That's what he does best.
I know it's all about
Time now
Don.
for this hour's car review. 2023 Mercedes-Benz GLC 300. Available trim levels, there's only one. That's this one, the GLC 300. Review trim level is a complete redesign for 2023. This is considered a small SUV. Has 5 seats in it. Exterior changes, complete redesign, and it's nice. Exterior features, nicely proportioned grille with enlarged Mercedes-Benz emblem in the middle of it. It's very large.
Everybody can see what it is when it's coming.
Big, conservatively designed alloy wheels, fake brake ducts behind the rear wheel openings, subtle, and a subtle nod to performance. It's just a little thing that I picked up on. If you look at it down the side, it's nice. I like it. Chrome dual exhaust trumpets or strumpets
I like that.
on the lower rear valance. That's very nice too. What I liked about it, the overall styling, classy, stylish, and sexy.
Oh.
What could use improvement? Nothing. Don't touch it. You're done good. Interior highlights. High-end, luxurious appeal with styling. Great controls and materials. Smooth center console covers over the cup holders and the console storage, and they did this so cool.
Different, yeah.
So it's got a smooth cover that goes over the top of the cup holders, and that blends right into the size and shape of the center console cover for your elbow. It was brilliant. Why haven't I done this
Good
before?
design.
Yep. High Zoot option is eye-popping. Rear seat is roomy for the size vehicle this is. Cargo trunk room, adequate for a road trip. This is a small SUV now. Rear seat comfort, AC controls, and the screen is what I liked about that. What could use improvement? The cell phone holder is kind of hard to get to. It's kind of tucked up under the dashboard through the center console and cup holder.
Oh.
So they could do a little bit better in that department, but it's not going to deter me from buying this thing.
Did this have the dual roof? Extra large sunroof?
Yeah, I think so.
Panoramic.
2-liter turbocharged 4-cylinder and a mild hybrid system has 255 horsepower, 295 pound-feet of torque, and through a 9-speed automatic transmission, it runs great. It works great together. I'll tell you what, say what you will about Mercedes-Benz. I don't care. It is a top-notch class act. And boy, the styling on this thing on the interior, wow.
Well, Angie's got a GLC
There's the roof.
300. Hers is 2018. She loves it, and it's a gorgeous interior on the car.
It's a complete redesign, and I'll tell you what, that interior, that dashboard, all of it, it just is amazing. 23 miles per gallon city, 31 highway for a combined of 26. I got 28.1 miles per gallon over 378.9 miles. What I liked about it, plenty of power and get up and go. What could use improvement? Sometimes the transmission is a little slow to downshift. Now, I will tell you that I am a 2-foot driver, left foot brake, right foot gas, and I can be pretty quick between the two. Cars aren't designed to understand
it can
that.
confuse a car.
Yes, it can. And I use both pedals. So bad on me, but I'm telling you, it was a little slow to downshift at times because I'm sure I confused the car.
Well, you're also used to driving a stick, too.
Well, there's that, but I've always driven with 2 feet, and I know that's not what I was taught or how I was taught to drive with automatic transmissions, but I do now. And no, I don't ride the brake. Thank you. Ride and handling, smooth but agile. What could use improvement? Nothing. And this was kind of surprising, too. Base trim price is $49,100. Prices tested was $56,650. And for amount of content for this vehicle, it's worth it.
Wow.
Base model price is $47,100.
But they got to pay for Lewis Hamilton somehow.
Good one.
Yeah.
That's for you. You did that for
I
you.
know.
Competitors, the Acura RDX. Now, I'm sorry, I don't really think that a Acura RDX can really compare to this, but $41,550 is where it starts. Audi Q5, $43,500, and the Volvo X60, $43,450. So it's a little bit higher priced going in than those other vehicles, but those are the closest competitors. This is a complete redesign. I have to underscore that. Not that the outgoing model was bad,
No,
but boy, this one, is this sweet. You know, it's funny how they build a car and then they take it and go, okay, how are we going to improve it? I don't know how they improved it because I don't remember the old one. You do. But I will tell you that this thing is sweet. Have you driven it yet? No. Oh, my gosh. When and if you do, I think that you're going to be impressed as well. And that's my review of the 2023 GLC 300 4MATIC SUV.
Good looking car.
It is.
It really is. And it was beautiful. White with a beautiful interior. But the way that it was styled, really, you go, gee whiz.
Ooh.
Why don't they all do that?
Yeah.
Because you can do that kind of styling, maybe not at that price level, but you can do it. Let me turn your microphone on, Mike.
Oh, hello.
Hello.
I also think that color makes a difference in it too. You know, some of the styling, you put the wrong color on there and it wouldn't look near as good. But I have a thing about white cars. I love white cars.
I do too. They look classy to me.
And clean.
Very clean, yes, when they're washed.
Well, they don't look near as dirty when they're dirty either.
Well, that's true.
Kind of like, never mind.
No, I want to hear it. Go ahead.
We have guests waiting.
He's good. He was going to go there, but he thought, no, Becky's listening.
It's been one of them mornings. There's no point making it even worse.
Well,
There you go.
Want to remind you that the In-Wheel Time Car Talk Show is available 24/7 through the iHeartRadio app. Just look for In-Wheel Time Car Talk. We also video stream on Facebook, YouTube at InWheelTime.com, and podcasts are at your fingertips and over a dozen of the most popular podcast outlets. Hey, the In-Wheel Time Car Talk Show continues right after this quick break. Everyone at the Tailpipes and Tacos Cruise In at the Lupe Tortilla Tex-Mex in Katy, thank you for participating in the best cruise in around and look forward to seeing you again. You'll hear about the next cruise in date right here on In Wheel Time. Next time you're in the West Houston Energy Corridor area, be sure and stop in at the original Lupe Tortilla Tex-Mex at I-10 and Highway 6 or the Katy location on the Grand Parkway at Kingsland Boulevard. When passing through Beaumont or College Station, stop in and have Lupe's award-winning beef fajitas and frozen margaritas. There's always a celebration at Lupe Tortilla. Lupe Tortilla founder Stan Holt and his wife Sheila are winning racers on the NHRA drag racing circuit and have a collection of hot rods and classics that everyone appreciates. Look for them at the next Tailpipes and Tacos Cruise In. The date will be announced soon and will once again be held at the Lupe Tortilla Tex-Mex on 99 and Kingsland Boulevard, just south of I-10 and Katy. We'll give you all the details right here on the In Wheel Time Car Talk Show and online. Donations benefit God's Garage. We'll see you then. You own a car you love. Well, why not let Gulf Coast Auto Shield protect it? Houstonian John Gray invites you to his state-of-the-art facility to introduce you to his specialist team of auto enthusiasts. We promise you'll be impressed. Whether you're looking to massage your original paint to a like-new appearance, apply a ceramic coating, install a paint protection film, nano-ceramic window tint, or new windshield protection called ExoShield, Gulf Coast Auto Shield is where Houston's car people go. Curbed your wheels? Instead of buying new, why not have them repaired? How about a professionally installed radar detector? Gulf Coast Auto Shield does that too. Get a peek inside the shop and look at the services offered by getting online and heading to gcautoshield.com. Better yet, stop by their facility at 11275 South Sam Houston Tollway, just south of the Southwest Freeway, and get a personal tour. Gulf Coast Auto Shield is your place to go for all things exterior. Call them today, 832-930-5655 or gcautoshield.com. The award-winning In-Wheel Time Car Talk Show is available on the most popular podcast channels out there in 30-minute episodes. We realize our 3-hour live show can be difficult to catch in its entirety, so now you can listen every day to a convenient, fresh 30-minute episode. Check us out on Apple Podcasts, Spotify, Google Podcasts, Amazon Music, and Audible, along with a dozen more. In-Wheel Time has the most informative automotive guest interviews and new car reviews, along with popular features including Conrad's Car Clinic and This Week in Auto History, along with automotive news headlines. Our live broadcast airs every Saturday, 8 to 11 Central on InWheelTime.com, the iHeart app, and on YouTube. Be sure to say hello when we're broadcasting from the Tailpipes and Tacos Cruise Inn, Autorama, and the Houston Auto Show, among others. Now, it's easier than ever to hear about all things automotive all week long. You're invited to join fellow car enthusiasts in becoming part of the ever-growing In-Wheel Time Car Talk family. Don't forget those 30-minute podcast episodes on your favorite podcast channel. Welcome to the In-Wheel Time Car Talk Show. Coming up, Dwayne Vance talks Hot Wheels, the show, and competition here in Houston. We'll explain all that. Conrad has This Week in Auto History, and we'll get you caught up on the stories making automotive news this week. Howdy, along with Mike out of This World Mars. King Conrad DeLong. We always need more Jeff Zekin. I'm Don Armstrong. Thanks so much for joining us today. We've had all sorts of problems with our Zoom hookup. Mr. Mars, I don't know how you got it fixed, but better late than never is all I can say. And thank you for all your hard work.
A lot of prayer.
Is that what it was?
Pixie dust.
Pixie dust, some of that.
Oh, that was... I'm saving that for after I get off the air.
So, Hot Wheels. Did you ever have any Hot Wheels cars?
No, my son had quite a few. I bought a lot for him.
Because it was a little bit beyond me. It started when I was getting into the real cars. You?
Oh yeah, I had tons of Hot Wheels.
Oh, Hot Wheel tracks.
I had
all
the,
that.
I had
Oh,
the,
yeah.
I think it was the Diora with the surfboards or something.
You
on the
would
back
remember
of it.
that.
Yeah. I remember the little tracks and all that sort of stuff. And since I was kind of pretty much the only boy in the house, the only kid in the house, I just didn't, it was beyond me. But it is.
Mom and Dad wouldn't spend $1 and buy you a Hot Wheels?
No, I was more, like I said, into full-size cars, keeping up with Mom's car and that sort of stuff. But I will tell you, think about this. What toy that you know of has lasted longer? Maybe Barbie. Maybe. It's right there with Barbie. It's truly amazing. And the way that the Hot Wheels have progressed through the years and how the changes, the models, the cars, the trucks, all of the stuff that they've come up with is still popular today. So, Dwayne, it's good to see you, and thank you very much for joining us today.
Yeah, thanks for having me on the show.
Well, it's our pleasure, and we understand that the Hot Wheels Legends Tour is coming here to Houston next week, and so tell us about the Legends Tour. I didn't know anything about it until I got this release, and I'm going, wait, boy, we need to have this guy on the car show with us.
So the Legends Tour was started obviously by Hot Wheels about in 20. Gosh, what was it? What year? 2017.
Okay.
No, 18. Sorry, 18. And we wanted to have basically a live car show where people could bring out any car they worked on that they're proud of and stuff like that. And then we've obviously partnered with Walmart and Mobile One for the car show. So they've been big sponsors throughout the years for this. But what we're always looking for is like super unique stuff. And then we always choose like a main winner of every show. And the show is actually gone worldwide. We have shows in Japan, Spain, Mexico, the US, it's in Europe and all over. And so we pick the top winners from each show, and then those top winners go to a finale. and a lot of times Jay Leno has had a lot to do with it, and other celebrity guest judges. And then that final winner we make into a Hot Wheel.
Oh, wow.
So it's kind of fun.
How many Hot Wheels, different models do you make throughout a year on average?
I don't even know if I can answer that myself. I mean, we literally cover everything. I know that recently we did a Proton, which that's a car from Malaysia. So if that tells you how deep we get, that tells you that we've made every mainstream American car. We've made every mainstream European car. And, now we've made every mainstream Asian car. So we have a lot in a year's time.
Do you guys go to places like Autorama, custom car shows, cruise-ins, and that sort of stuff to maybe perhaps
Get inspired
and get some ideas?
Oh, for sure. Yeah. All of us that work at Hot Wheels, we're all like ecstatic car guys. Some of us, love certain cars more than others, but I feel like everyone there is a car person. And we just love cars. And so a lot of us will just attend on our own time, cruises and car shows. And especially in Southern California, you have so many car shows going on. You could go to multiple ones, every weekend. I'm sure the same as Texas. I know Texas has a lot as well.
Yeah.
Yeah, just about every weekend there's some place you could go. And in fact, one of the guys that won, I guess it was last year, Texas Toot, the little big wheel, but it was like an Isuzu or something.
We had him on.
Yeah, he was on. He's about 80 miles from here. And I saw him in some of the pictures that we got with the press release that we're going to run here in a minute. So he went through all that process.
Yeah, he actually drove all the way out there.
Yes. Yes, he was real proud of that.
Okay, so tell us about the show and what we can expect when we get there. I understand it's going to be on July the 8th, which is, I guess, a week from today.
Yes.
A week from today, Saturday, and it happens, when we're on the air from 8 to noon. Imagine that. But will there be, the show will continue throughout the day? How does it work?
Yeah, basically everyone kind of starts showing up early in the morning. Anybody that's registered. So there's going to be about 100 registrants. So they pre-register ahead of time, which just a little info on that. That is until 11 a.m. this Friday. And then you can register your car, you bring it in, and then actually me and several other judges, we go around and judge the registrants. And then the show actually starts around 8 a.m. and goes until, about noon. Kind of like any typical car show, you have a lot of people that linger or, that need to leave early and stuff like that. So it can bring out the whole family. It's at Walmart, so it's a fun place to be. You can even run in and buy Hot Wheels if you want.
Yeah.
Do you guys have like a big 18-wheeler there with all sorts of displays and stuff?
No, but we have a stage there that we'll have, like we'll do interviews and things like that throughout the day. But we don't really bring a bunch of product. We kind of let, Walmart handle that side of stuff.
Right. I was just trying to get an idea of what we can expect when we show up there. So you guys bring the trailer and do your thing out there in the parking lot. Mm-hmm. And that's 8 to noon. Tell me about what so 100 cars are going to enter in the competition. I would imagine that there would probably be 500 entries. Do you only allow 100 cars in?
Yeah, we had to do that because we started getting so many entries. And it was actually very difficult for all of us judges to get through, sometimes 200-300 cars.
Oh, no doubt. Yeah, absolutely.
So, and we had to have a winner. Yeah, so we had to have a winner at the end of the day. And we felt like we were getting, we didn't want to rush through it. We want to, find out people's story about the car and really kind of take it in.
Yeah, you're a car guy.
Car than just the car. We'd love to hear the story.
Right. So You got a Power Wheels racetrack that you're bringing with you.
Yes, we will have that there.
Very nice.
So anybody can race their cars on it.
Yeah, nice.
Photo opportunity.
Photo opportunity.
Yeah.
So this really is going to be a family affair because let's be clear about it. I mean, Hot Wheels is mainly for children. I would imagine that there are adults that are collectors and that sort of thing. But for the most part, the kids will really be able to connect with this. RC races there. The Hot Wheels Rift Rally and play spaces where kids can interact with the latest toys from Hot Wheels, that sort of thing. I mean, I know if I'm a kid, I'm interested. I want to be there. I'm going to get mom and dad. Is there a charge to get into the show?
No, not at all. It's all free. And as far as adults are concerned, we actually have a huge collector's market.
Sure.
That they're not just the basic cars. We do high-end stuff that's like real detailed, real rubber tires, detailed wheels, interiors that are definitely more high-end than kid stuff.
Oh, yeah.
And one of the things that Hot Wheels did in beyond the Matchbox series with the little cars on the tracks was that Matchbox went to using, I think it's either piano or violin wire for the axles to make them go faster.
Yeah, that was actually Hot Wheels that did that.
Hot Wheels, okay.
That was kind of the story. That's why they went faster than Matchbox.
Right. Well, yeah, it was derived from that. Right.
Mm-hmm. So this event is going to be at the Walmart Supercenter out in Tomball, out in your area.
Up near my house.
That's at 25,800 Kirkendall Road in Tomball. For those that are interested, is there a website we can get to that will give us all the info on this?
Yeah, actually on Facebook, you can get to all the stuff. If you go to the Hot Wheels Legends Tour Facebook page,
yep,
and all the info is on there, and then you can click your show, so you'll click, obviously, Houston to see all the info on that.
Yeah. How many shows you guys going to do this year in the United States?
Oh, in the United States?
Like one every weekend during the summer?
I want to say we're doing like 2 every month. So that's about 24 shows.
Nice. So do you know where you go from Houston, just to get an idea?
Yeah, after Houston, we'll be going to shoot, now I forgot.
Welcome to my world.
Yeah, that's us.
Yeah.
I think it's another Texas stop. I believe it's Dallas, I think.
Well, that's perfect. And that works.
I'm waiting for my
Houston first, then Dallas.
Yeah.
They're always second.
They may not be open that day.
Yeah.
Dallas may not be open that
second.
day. Yeah, exactly. So I understand that local automotive personalities and Hot Wheel designers are going to be there. Well, what kind of local automotive personalities are you going to bring? Do you even know?
I don't know that yet. They were still finalizing some stuff. Usually we try to get, people that are very ingrained in the car culture, race car drivers, people that build cars.
Well, we didn't get invited. We could have set up we could have been out there and broadcasting live had we known.
And Conrad could have brought his collection.
Well, yes, I think you should do that.
So next
I was
year,
going to tell you to come out there live,
Dwayne. Next year, so you've got to fix this for us.
Yes.
We need to be out there.
All right. We'll see what we can do.
Okay, very good. Well, it's great to talk to you. Thank you so much for joining us today. Again, it's going to be the Hot Wheels Legends Tour coming to the Houston area. It's going to be at the Walmart Supercenter in Tomball, Texas, and it's going to be at 25,800 Kirkendall Road in Tomball from 8 a.m. to noon next Saturday.
It's basically Kirkendall and Grand Parkway.
Yeah.
Oh, go out there and you might see the next new Hot Wheels.
That's exactly right. Dwayne, thanks again so much, sir. We appreciate you.
Thank you, guys. Hopefully we'll get to see some of your crowd out there.
Oh, yeah.
Oh, yeah.
You will.
Yeah, you will. They'll all be carrying around their little iHeart radios and listening to us while they're touring the show. Just had to throw that in.
Yeah.
Bring lots of cold water.
That's it. Thanks, Dwayne. All right. Very nice. This week in auto history, Conrad always does a good job at this, as long as we get the pictures in the right order.
Well, just in memory of your review, in 1909, Mercedes-Benz introduced the three-pointed star symbol this week.
Yep.
In 1928, the rocket-powered Opel Rack 3 debuted on a section of railroad track near Hanover, Germany.
On a railroad track.
On a railroad track.
It's a smoker.
With approximately 20,000 spectators looked on, the rocket car recorded a rail speed record of 157 miles an hour on its first run. The result of a rather odd experiment, the Rack 3 carried a caged cat as its driver. Tragically, on the car's second run, too many of the rockets fired all at once.
And shot that cat all right.
And it
Cat skin interior.
And that's where they get cat skin interior. Exactly.
and it came off the rails,
And there's no mosquitoes there. Look at that.
killing its feline pilot.
Oh, boy.
Also this week,
Well, they got 8 other lives.
the first production Corvette came off the assembly
That's right,
line.
70 years
It was
old.
yesterday,
Yep.
actually, on the 30th.
Yep.
So you're
Don't
actually
even go there. I know what you were going to say.
just a couple of
Has
years older than Corvette.
Something to do with my age, and we'll just leave it at that.
Also in 1953, 1956, the last Packard, the classic American luxury car, with the famous slogan of "Ask the man who owns one," rolled off the production line. The Packard production. This is a pretty cool looking car.
What year was that?
56.
I know I've seen those cars in car shows, but I don't really recall anything.
I think this is an Adventurer.
Whatever.
And
Doesn't
then
make
you
any
hit the
difference.
button again, and it'll show you the engine with the dual carbs and the cross ram 4-barrel intake.
I've
manifold.
seen that
But it
engine.
wasn't a Lincoln or it wasn't a Cadillac.
No, it was a Packard.
I know that.
And do you
but
know
what
that
I'm saying is that what's the deal? I mean, why is it such a big deal? It's like, Studebaker, they just kind of went away.
Yep.
Parts of the
Packard
Packard
just kind of went away.
parts of the Packard assembly plant are still standing in Detroit. They're empty. They're abandoned, but there's still the road that goes in between the plants and the crossover bridge. Yep.
In Detroit, Michigan. In 1980, this week, the Blues Brothers premiered in theaters, starring John Belushi and Dan Aykroyd.
Brilliant movie.
Ultimately, one of the best movies ever. And then in 1985, Jim Pattison purchased a custom-painted Rolls-Royce Phantom 4 that had belonged to John Lennon, and he bought it for $2.2 million. Lennon had purchased the car in 1966 and asked a friend to paint the car with period-typical psychedelic design pattern. The auction sale price was 10 times what Sotheby's estimated the value to be. And then in 1985, after 59 years, the iconic Route 66 entered the realm of history as it was decommissioned as a state highway, as a national highway.
Do you read this stuff
Yep,
before
by the
you
state
actually
highway
do
and
this?
transportation officials as they decertified it. Route 66 stretched from Chicago all the way to Santa Monica, California, passing through 8 states. According to the New York Times article about its decertification, most of the Route 66 followed a path through the wilderness forged in 1857 by U.S. Navy Lieutenant Edward Beale. He
was really lost if he was part of the Navy.
At the head of a caravan of camels. Over the years, wagon, trains, and cattlemen eventually made their way, making Route 66.
Camels? We had camels back then?
A herd of camels.
It's like a flock of seagulls.
That was a band, wasn't it? Flock of Seagulls.
I think so.
I don't remember a band called Herd of Camels.
That's the next one. That's the next iteration of them.
Yeah, get all their albums.
So he was a camel sailor.
Camel sailor. Well, he brought the camels over here from Saudi Arabia or something.
Filtered or non-filtered.
I thought that was an interesting
all I
piece
can
to the
think of
story.
is the Popeye thing. Alibaba and the 40 Thieves. Do you remember the Popeye? I don't think they can show that anymore. Yeah.
Yeah, there's a
They
lot
all
of
ran
there's a
into
lot
the
of stuff they
cave and they
can't
all
show.
ran out. All that stuff.
Old Olive Oil. I loved her.
Did you?
She was
I
hot.
bet, yeah, she was hot, wasn't she?
No, she was skinny.
I know. I like skinny. SAE International on Tuesday.
Society of Automotive Engineers.
Well, nothing ever said that they were right on time and right there for everybody when they needed them.
Mm-hmm. I was a member.
They've decided this past Tuesday that they will develop manufacturing, performance, and reliability standards for Tesla's North American Charging Standard connector.
A little late, aren't they?
You think?
Somebody gave them some money.
Standardizing the NACS connector will provide certainty, expanded choice, reliability, and convenience to manufacturers and suppliers, and most of all, increase access to charging for consumers, said Frank Menchaca, president of the Sustainability Mobility Solutions and innovation arm of SAE's parent company, Fullsight. Let me tell you something. Frank no more said that than the man in the moon. It was some PR person that works for SAE.
Yep. A young one, too.
Frank Menchaca. Let's get him on the show.
And Frank
and ask him if he actually said that. Frank, did you actually say that? Can you repeat it?
And Frank will say,
"Oh, heck
what?
Yeah.
What? What are you talking about? I don't know anything about that.
I was on vacation.
I can't hear you. I was on vacation."
General Motors, Ford, Rivian, and Volvo said they are adapting Tesla's NACS plug by 2025, enabling non-Tesla EV drivers to use Tesla's rapidly growing network of chargers. Stellantis and Hyundai Motor Group are considering a similar move.
On a handshake.
I guess.
And Mary Barra still makes $29 million a year.
We know that. Mr. Marzi, did you just wear yourself out trying to get the Zoom thing
I'm
to work?
taking it all in.
No, you're ready to fall asleep.
No, he's checking.
If you want to go in the house, there's
he's looking at my email to find out that I made the mistake.
That's not email. At least that's not what we call it.
The Twitter file.
Rear seat passengers are not well protected by small pickup safety systems. New moderate overlap front crash tests by the Insurance Institute of Highway Safety found the IIHS rated the Nissan Frontier acceptable. The Ford Ranger earned a marginal rating, higher than poor, but lower than acceptable, while the Chevy Colorado, Jeep Gladiator, and Toyota Tacoma all received poor ratings. The ratings only apply to the crew cab versions.
So who sits in the back anyhow?
Mother-in-law.
So they redid the Colorado, and it's just now starting to show up at dealerships.
Yes.
Where Colorado and Canyon actually looks pretty good.
Hadn't seen it.
Because the old one wasn't.
No, it was not.
Boxy.
It was ugly.
Yeah. No flair. No pizzazz.
It was so ugly, it was fugly.
Well, here you go. Stellantis' brands have been entrenched at the top of J.D. Power's initial quality study in recent years after decades that saw most of them in the middle of the pack or floundering near the bottom of the rankings. Well, there was a breakthrough in 2020 when Dodge tied with Kia for the top spot, making it the first domestic brand to finish number one. Ram tied for third that year and then flip-flopped with Dodge to lead the industry in the 2021 study. Dodge finished second in 2022 and reclaimed number one status in 2023.
Remarkable.
I know. While Ram jumped back into second place this year after a mediocre showing in 2022 that was attributed to the introduction of the Uconnect 5 infotainment system. Apparently they had some glitches in it. Alfa Romeo joined the upper echelon in 2023 by rising 24 spots to finish third in the highest-ranked premium brand. David McDonald, who joined Stellantis in 1993, has been head of customer experience in North America from July 2022.
Alfa's a premium brand?
Until his upcoming retirement this Friday, said the automaker has developed an intense focus on quality. So, good for them. They're doing something right there.
Yep.
And I will tell you, whether you like the exterior shape of any of the Alphas or not, doesn't make any difference. The interiors, mwah.
Yeah, they kind of favor Mercedes somewhat.
They got a lot of Italian styling and stuff to it. I mean,
who names a car Toenail?
Well, I think it's truly named Tonale, but we're going to call it Toenail because that's the way it's spelled. I'm sorry, I have to go with it because that's just who I am.
And they do dip.
You do dip?
You do dip.
By the way, speaking of Stellantis, they're going to require union employees to work mandatory overtime at its Warren Truck Assembly and Jefferson North factory in Michigan to boost Jeep SUV production ahead of a potential strike deadline in September. according to a document shared with Reuters. Stellantis told workers the plants will be in, quote, critical status, end quote, from July 5th through October 2nd. Under the current UAW contract, a plant in critical status can run up to 7 days a week for a period of 90 days and require union employees to work more than 9 hours of overtime, according to a notice sent to employees and reviewed by Reuters.
Yeah, so we're going to build inventory so you can go on strike and we could care less.
In the past,
in time and a half, too.
In the past, automakers have built up their inventory of their most popular vehicles ahead of the UAW contract deadline and possible strike action. Formal contract negotiations between the Detroit 3 automakers and UAW leaders are set to begin July 13th.
And that's why there are so many 1969 Camaros, because Chevrolet ran Camaro production a long time to build
leading up to
that huge strike they had in
that went on for a long time.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I remember that.
That time and a half.
And that's why there's really no 70 Camaro. It's always called a 70 and a half Camaro.
Because of the overproduction.
Right. Well, they had built so many 69s.
Yeah. And they were striking at the beginning of 70.
So one of our favorites, George says, Don got rid of the F-bomb, but now he's got a Farfignugan.
That's right. The Farfignugan. What a brilliant marketing term.
Think of how many years ago that was.
And you still remember it.
We still remember it.
Well, that
that's
was on the
the
thing.
beauty of it.
That came out with the thing.
Was that a sign to the thing?
I think it was a sign to the thing, wasn't it?
I think
or was it before the thing?
No,
I think it was
after the thing. I think you're right.
I remember the thing.
I think you're right.
Yeah.
I think you're right.
Remember?
Farfignugan.
Farfignugan.
So no more dropping the F-bomb today.
No, they already got rid of it.
We got rid of the F-bomb. And we're referring to the F-pace, but we're changing the name of it to the F-bomb.
And send your comments to info@inwheeltime.com.
No, to Archer Volkswagen.
and we're going to put up a merch page with F-bomb T-shirts.
There you go.
We're going to wrap up today's show, thank God. Right after this break, I want you to stay with us, please. Everyone at the Tailpipes and Tacos Cruise In at the Lupi Tortilla Tex-Mex in Katy, thank you for participating in the best cruise in around and look forward to seeing you again. You'll hear about the next cruise in date right here on In Wheel Time. Next time you're in the West Houston Energy Corridor area, be sure and stop in at the original Lupi Tortilla Tex-Mex at I-10 and Highway 6 or the Katy location on the Grand Parkway at Kingsland Boulevard. When passing through Beaumont or College Station, stop in and have Lupi's award-winning beef fajitas and frozen margaritas. There's always a celebration at Lupi Tortilla. Lupi Tortilla founder Stan Holt and his wife Sheila are winning racers on the NHRA drag racing circuit and have a collection of hot rods and classics that everyone appreciates. Look for them at the next Tailpipes and Tacos Cruise-In. The date will be announced soon and will once again be held at the Lupi Tortilla Tex-Mex on 99 and Kingsland Boulevard, just south of I-10 and Katy. We'll give you all the details right here on the In Wheel Time Car Talk Show and online. Donations benefit God's Garage. We'll see you then. You own a car you love. Well, why not let Gulf Coast Auto Shield protect it? Houstonian John Gray invites you to his state-of-the-art facility to introduce you to his specialist team of auto enthusiasts. We promise you'll be impressed. Whether you're looking to massage your original paint to a like-new appearance, apply a ceramic coating, install a paint protection film, nano-ceramic window tint, or new windshield protection called ExoShield, Gulf Coast Auto Shield is where Houston's car people go. Curbed your wheels? Instead of buying new, why not have them repaired? How about a professionally installed radar detector? Gulf Coast Auto Shield does that too. Get a peek inside the shop and look at the services offered by getting online and heading to gcautoshield.com. Better yet, stop by their facility at 11275 South Sam Houston Tollway, just south of the Southwest Freeway, and get a personal tour. Gulf Coast Auto Shield is your place to go for all things exterior. Call them today, 832-930-5655 or gcautoshield.com. The award-winning In Wheel Time Car Talk Show is available on the most popular podcast channels out there in 30-minute episodes. We realize our 3-hour live show can be difficult to catch in its entirety, so now you can listen every day to a convenient, fresh 30-minute episode. Check us out on Apple Podcasts, Spotify, Google Podcasts, Amazon Music, and Audible, along with a dozen more. In Wheel Time has the most informative automotive guest interviews and new car reviews, along with popular features including Conrad's Car Clinic and This Week in Auto History, along with automotive news headlines. Our live broadcast airs every Saturday, 8 to 11 Central on InWheelTime.com, the iHeart app, and on YouTube. Be sure to say hello when we're broadcasting from the Tailpipes and Tacos Cruise-In, Autorama, and the Houston Auto Show, among others. Now, it's easier than ever to hear about all things automotive all week long. You're invited to join fellow car enthusiasts in becoming part of the ever-growing In Wheel Time Car Talk family. Don't forget those 30-minute podcast episodes on your favorite podcast channel. Well, that's a wrap for this week's In Wheel Time Car Talk Show. When you're online, follow our Facebook page, give us a like, tell your friends about us, and share our junk if you would, please. We're depending on you to help us get the word out, because that's what car people do. We promise to keep you posted on all things automotive all week long, including new car reviews, upcoming events, cruise-ins, racing events, and other informative and entertaining car and truck goodies.
Interesting.
You can find the In Wheel Time Car Talk Show 24/7 on the iHeartRadio app and our live video stream on Facebook, YouTube, and on InWheelTime.com every Saturday, 8 to 11 Central Time. Daily 30-minute podcasts are available on the podcast channel you use. The In Wheel Time Chief Engineer is David Ainsley.
There you go, David.
Our Marketing Advertising Advisor and Video Technical Director is We Need More Help, Jeff Zekin.
Yep.
For Booking Agent and Thumb Twiddler Mike Mars, Mr. Know-It-All is Royalty King Conrad DeLong. I'm Don Armstrong. Please join us for our next live In Wheel Time Car Talk Show, Saturday, July the 8th, 2023, on all of our In Wheel Time Car Talk outlets, right here on the Smoke and Mirrors Network, 8 a.m. to 11 a.m. Central Time. Have a great, safe 4th of July weekend. Stay cool, and so long for now.